Hello there.
Hello. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Cantina Social Hour Friday night. How is everybody doing? It is great to be here. It is great to see you. It is great to end my crazy. I was going to say work week, but just in general, this week has been nuts. It's great to end it here on Cantina Social Hour with my pals, the Cantinians, hanging out here in the chat, hanging out here in the Cantina on their Friday night. Bless you guys. Thank you very much for being here and for spending some time with me tonight. So welcome. I see a lot of our friends joining in. And I'm really excited because there is a lot to discuss tonight. Toy Fair is about to get underway tomorrow. There was a Hasbro fan poll stream this week, and there is some toy industry news to discuss relating to the DC license and all that's going on with that. So plenty to discuss. I'm really excited to do it. And of course, there's going to be a pretty good emphasis on TVC tonight and some interesting things that have been that we saw this week. I'll save the details until we get there. So we'll be patient. Before we do that, a couple of housekeeping things, you guys. You know the drill. Just a reminder here. A reminder that if you are shopping on Entertainment Earth, please use promo code Victoria if you want to save an extra 10% off of your in-stock purchase. Definitely use my promo code. Save yourself 10%. Every little bit helps. The price of everything is insane right now. And any little bit we can do to save on things that we cannot live without, which in this case is toys. Little plastic people and creatures and aliens and smugglers and all that stuff. Be sure to take advantage of that because we need that 10%. Other thing I want to mention is that SWTVC March Madness is currently underway. So that has begun. You can take a look at their bracket. You can see you can start voting for that. So that's there's going to be a stream tomorrow on the Boss Expand YouTube channel, I believe. So give that a look. Cast your vote. I also want to mention, say thank you to Brother Cousins, who was on the show last month, a few weeks back. And we had a really good, fun time talking 6-scale collectibles. And he is currently, he does his Thursday night show, Best of the Best. And I was a guest on his show last night. So thanks, Brother Cousin. Thank you, Jay, for having me on your show. It was a lot of fun hanging out with some familiar faces. So if you guys want to check that out, the replay is up on his channel. And yeah, we talk recent 6-scale news and we had a good time doing it. So give that a look if you are so inclined. And as far as topics tonight, you guys, so there are, like I said, a number of things I want to discuss. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the fact that New York Toy Fair is about to be underway. What's going on with the DC license, what's going on with Mattel and the DC license, what does that mean for McFarlane? We're going to talk a little bit about what Hasbro revealed a couple of days back through their Hasbro Pulse fan stream. There was some TVC, there was some Black Series, there was some role play. We're going to talk about all that stuff. In addition to that, we are going to discuss what's going on with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. I don't really want to talk about that stuff because a lot of people already do it, and you guys know how it is. But we're going to touch on it just briefly, and then we'll talk about Andor season 2. The trailer came out this week. More Star Wars to be excited about, very timely Star Wars to be excited about, and then we'll talk about Revenge of the Sith returning to theaters, and we'll cap it all off with new acquisitions, brand new things that I've added to my collection, our guest has added to his collection, and that you guys have added to your collections as well. So plenty to talk about, and I'm all here for it. I'm excited, and like I said, Friday night, kick back, relax, pull yourself together a cup of Jawa juice. I got my orange crush right here, and let's have a good time. Let's have a good time, you guys. Let's have a good time. All right, I want to see who is in the chat thus far into the evening, who's hanging out. Ooh, this time Adam beat Dodgson. Adam beat Dodgson in the chat. Wow, I'm very surprised. Adam, our moderator, our bouncer, our protector, our guard, our yeah. Adam is in charge, you guys. So if Adam says something, that's what goes, okay? Thank you, Adam, for moderating. We appreciate you as always. Best part of the week. Happy to be with my Cantinian friends. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you are here. Dodgson is with us, of course. Another Friday night, another social hour, another night to chat amongst the Cantina, old friends, possibly newcomers. We always welcome all newcomers into the Cantina. We welcome all to the Cantina. And everybody from everywhere, everybody is welcome in the Cantina at all times. Please come to the Cantina if for the positivity. I hope it's positive vibes. Let's see who else is with us tonight. We got David Matthews. Hey, David, good to see you again. We got Rick with us. Hello, Rick. Good to see you as always. TGIF, Andor Season 2. Can't get started soon enough. I'm extremely excited for Daredevil next week. Grew up on Frank Miller, Daredevil, right? Very, very cool. And yes, that is coming next week. Daredevil on Disney Plus. Let's see. We've got Paul. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. Hello. We've got Britt. Hey, Britt, how's it going, Britt? Good to see you as always. Good to see you in the Cantina tonight. We got Allison with us. Hey, y'all, time to kick off. Hopefully a good weekend. I hope it's a good weekend. It's been a crazy week. Hopefully it's a good weekend. We'll see what happens with Toy Fair, right? Let's see. Road Killer's with us. Good to see you, Road Killer. Good evening to you. We got Bob with us. Hey, Bob. What's up, Bob? Good evening to the Cantina. Good evening to you, sir. We've got William. Hey, William. What's up, buddy? Return of the Jedi is with us. What's up, Joe? Good to see you. Let's talk soon. I want to get you back on the show. Charlie the Unicorn is with us. Hey, Charlie, good to see you. It was good seeing you last night on Jay's show as well. NFL watching combined coverage. Yeah, definitely do that. Multiple screens, different things going on. But NFL, and then if social hour is one of them, all I can say is thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for including us in your Friday night. Charlie the Unicorn, thank you. Let's see, we got Cars 2K with us, or Course 2K, sorry. Hey, how's it going? All right, we're off to a good start. We are off to a good start. I am excited. And Dodgson's got the blue milk. Yeah, lots of it. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get things started. What do you guys say? So tonight's guest is a returning guest here to the Cantina. He's been here before. He knows the drill, and he knows how awesome everybody in here is. I hope so. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in this evening's guest. I'm very excited to have him, and I have a good feeling about this.
I got a really good feeling about this.
All right, returning to the Cantina for the second time. It's not his first rodeo. We've got Brett on Fett. Brett, how's it going tonight?
Hey, Victoria, it's going great. It's just like you were saying earlier, it was a crazy week this week, very stressful at work. And so just very happy to be done with that week and get to talk toys to kind of take the edge off.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. And thank you for returning. It's great to see you. It's great to have you back in the Cantina once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Of course. So we do have links to your socials, your Instagram and your YouTube down below. So if for whatever reason that anyone's unfamiliar with you, they can check you out. But just, you've been on here before, but tell us a little bit about what's going on lately on your channel.
Yeah, so Mostly focusing on TVC lately. For those of you who, if anyone saw my videos past month or so ago, I'm having to cut back on Black Series. That's kind of what's going on in my collection now. It's just kind of become overwhelming with the different lines. It gets harder and harder to collect multiple lines. So having to say goodbye to Black Series for now, and just really focusing on my first love, which is the vintage collection, 3.75 scale. So yeah, I'm here for that. My videos are basically surrounding around 3.75 vintage collection, but also I get into the Kenner stuff. I also collect vintage Kenner as well. So that's pretty much the focus.
Nice. Well, once again, your links are down in the show notes. The show notes. This isn't one of my pockets. I gotta remember the description. The description. So definitely check out Brett if you haven't already. All right, so we are going to get things started with our topics for this evening. There's a multitude of things to discuss. Firstly, I just want to mention once again that that New York Toy Fair is going to begin tomorrow. And we actually have one of our contributors here at VC, Tom Charlton. You guys know good old Grumpy Tom. I'm sending him to the Hasbro event tomorrow. So he will be there covering. He will be there seeing what they've got. He's going to be there for their little event that they have tomorrow night. And I'm excited to see what he uncovers. He'll get to chat with Hasbro. He'll get to see what they're going to show off, take some photos, take some video, all that stuff. And we'll see what Grumpy Tom is able to find over at the Hasbro presentation, the Hasbro reveals tomorrow at New York Toy Fair. But yeah, VC will be there. And I hope that we see some cool stuff. I really hope we see some cool stuff from Hasbro. And I hope we see other cool things from other companies, of course, because I'm not... I wish I could stay on one toy line, but you guys know how it is. I'm all over the place. I'm like ADHD type of toy collector. I'm everywhere. I'm all over the place. I can't focus on one thing. Brett, is there anything that you hope, like if you could pick one thing that you think, it makes sense, what is something you want to see come from New York Toy Fair this year?
Oh, well, obviously I'm biased with the Star Wars stuff. So I would love for them to reveal, I think, we've been pipeline. We're still waiting on a few pipeline figures, in particular the old Ben, Obi-Wan Kenobi, New Hope version, and the New Hope version of Han Solo. And so it would be awesome to get a glimpse of one of those. I don't know that they'll do that at New York Toy Fair or not, but it would be, if I had to pick one thing, I'd go with the Ben Kenobi. Very excited to get a definitive Ben Kenobi in the line. Yeah,
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I really want to see what it looks like. I know we got that little tease, if you will, with the land speeder picture, but I want to see this figure.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if that's actually the new one or if it's just an old one. Legacy collection, maybe, but yeah, need a proper.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm really eager to see it. I hope that they announce C-3PO. Like that's the one thing I want Hasbro to announce right now. Like that is my number one thing this year, other than our Leo shoes, because we didn't get that last year. C-3PO is like the one thing I think they absolutely need to release this year, or at least announce it, pipeline it, whatever. But
yeah,
we need to know that a new C-3PO is on tap, because that's like the one thing that has not been announced or pipeline that is very vital and critical to our collections. It's going to be important to the Cantina diorama that's coming, the HasLab. Going to be important to pretty much anything that features C-3PO, which if you think about it, there's a lot of Star Wars that features C-3PO. So almost any kind of setup you have on your shelf, is going to require multiple purchases. And then of course, all the repaints they could do from that mold. So come on guys, C-3PO, we're pulling for 3PO here.
Definitely. I'm going to have to buy at least 6. That's just a start. There's just so many different scenes.
Just to start it off, right? So, just 6.
Yeah.
Just to start.
The one we have is just deplorable. It's a travesty, the one we have. So
yeah, it's unacceptable. It really is. They shouldn't have. When it first came out, it was like, oh, that's interesting, it's different. But even back then, it wasn't like that great. So yeah, I tend to not use it. I tend to use more like the Revenge of the Sith C-3PO in a lot of cases, or even the you remember the Saga line back in 2002, 2003? They did a little like a spin-off of that line, an assortment called Hall of Fame. And there was a C-3PO in there that was like a vac metal, and he looked great. And I do use that one still in certain scenes. That's a really nice one.
Yeah, I like the Ewok throne PPO that came out. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that one's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they have. I'm sure maybe we can get Tom on next week and we can talk about what all is revealed that he's able to witness in real time tomorrow. Next thing I want to talk about is Mattel Jurassic. So there are a couple of things to highlight that I don't know if these leaked or what exactly. You never know at Mattel. Mattel is really bad at communicating stuff to they don't really communicate. Things just leak out and then they get upset and they're like, oh, that's a leak. You need to pull it off your site. But it's like, well, you never announce anything. So the only way we can see things is through leaks. It doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway, this is from my buddy Collect Jurassic, his Instagram. So he's got some new stuff. He's even got some stuff on here I hadn't even seen. So I'm excited to get into this here. All right. So I guess first thing we should mention is that if you were looking for the Mosasaurus, the new Mosasaurus that's coming out for the new movie Jurassic World Rebirth, it is available for pre-order on Amazon. It's $29.99. So that's kind of cool. You can pre-order a Rebirth figure already. In addition to that, we got a glimpse of this. This is the Jurassic World launch and battle vehicle set. It says it will launch fall 2025 and retail for $34.99. So, I mean, this is pretty good. I mean, I always, I have my gripes with Mattel, but I always have to, hats off to them for maintaining pricing on stuff. I mean, look at this. You get a 3 3/4 inch figure, you get a vehicle, you get a dinosaur, and you get some sort of action feature built into the vehicle with the grappling gun launch net thingy. And it's only $34.99. I mean, we know full well that if Hasbro did something like this, which, of course it would be better quality, I think we could all assume, it would not be $34.99.
$59.99.
At least.
Only what it would be. Yeah.
At least. Yeah. So, kudos to Mattel for keeping their prices consistent over the last several years since they've been doing this toy line. But this is really cool. This is the new Raptor from the new film. So, here's a toy of it. It looks a little bird-like with the colors and such. It looks cool. The vehicle is fun. Again, this isn't going to be like TVC quality or anything, but still, it's a nice little vehicle that is brand new sculpt. That is, the coloration on it's really nice. It looks very Jurassic Park inspired. And it's even got some numbers, it looks like, on the back. It says InGen. So that's cool. I mean, that ties into the lore of Jurassic. You get the 3 3/4 inch figure that comes with this. This is one of the characters from the new movie. And I'm looking for a name here on here. I don't see the name, but I think we do know this. Oh yeah, Martin Krebs. Martin Krebs. It's a weird name. Martin Krebs. Anyway, better pictures will come, but either way, this is a good photo, and it's nice to see that they are developing this line with 3 3/4 inch being the play pattern to continue. They also revealed these or leaked these sets too. Now, these I think are actually kind of exciting. This isn't the kind of thing I would normally go for. But this is called the Micro Adventures Playset Assortment. All right. Now, these are pretty cool because they remind me a lot of Polly Pocket and Mighty Max, like back from the 90s. They're basically like these little micro-sized play sets, dinosaur heads that open up, and then you have a whole little like scene on the inside with different things, little figurines, trees, water, which is kind of cool. So there's a couple different ones. I think that was the Spinosaurus. This one here is the T-Rex. It's got some waterfalls, it looks like it's got a Quetzalcoatlus. It's nice. A couple of little dinos in there. Here's another look at the Spino from the side view. Yeah, so the Spino has a Spino inside it. That's kind of meta, but that's cool. And then they have some masks coming. But I'm really excited about these little these guys because I think these are going to be fun. And it's not the kind of thing I would normally buy, but it's just the nostalgia for this kind of a play set, right? I mean, it's a little on the, like, what was great about Polly Pocket and Mighty Max is that you could take them anywhere. You could put them in your pocket. You could go off to, your grandmother's house on a Saturday or wherever, and you could take it with you and you'd have it there to play with. And this is the same kind of thing. It replicates that. I'm probably going to have to get these, even if I never take them to grandma's house or anything like that. But just to have that sort of nostalgia, that sort of little play set is going to be kind of cool for me.
Very cool. It kind of reminds me, I think it was Micro Machines, maybe, that did a Star Wars line where it had characters like Boba Fett and it opens up.
Yep.
It has a little play set. And those are cool. Really cool. So yeah.
Yeah,
like
definitely. Yeah, these are cool. Dodgen says that one of the recent leaks had to be taken down because it contained potential spoilers for the film. Nobody's account or channel got put in jeopardy yet. Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah, I thought there were more. I thought that there were more pictures. I thought there were more than these two. I know there were other dinosaurs when I looked at these the other day. It wasn't just these two. So maybe that's what, unless I'm going crazy. Dodgson, am I going crazy? Were there? I thought there were more than two of these play sets. I feel like I saw at least a couple more the other day. Maybe I'm wrong. They got more of these masks. This time they have light up eyes and they look a little more advanced than they did in the past. But yeah, I mean, those are nothing I would buy, but they're fun. Let's see. This is another look at the Velociraptor. Yeah, so this is, I'm trying to figure out what exactly this is. I think it's just another raptor. Maybe it's the same raptor from the play set, but very detailed sculpt if that's the case.
The colors.
Yeah, colors are fun. I mean, it's nice, I guess, that there's going to be velociraptors in a Jurassic movie, which, I mean, obviously there's going to be velociraptors, but I want to see a larger raptors. I want to see like a Utah raptor or something, like, a larger species of raptor that, hasn't been done, like a 10-foot tall raptor, right? Like that actually, I don't know that Utah raptors are that tall, but, like an oversized raptor would be kind of crazy to see. Okay, so Dodgson says, yes, there was another one that was shown, but it had to be taken down because of spoilers. Okay, so I don't remember what was in it or even what the dinosaur was, but I know, yeah, I did see that. Let's see, what else does Collect Jurassic have here? Okay, so this is one. Okay, we gotta watch this. We gotta watch this one in full because it has audio. So this is a new little hatchling T-Rex, and this just got posted today. So I gotta play the whole thing. You guys got to see this. All right, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
They had me until the roar.
The roar, yeah.
The roar is.
It sounds like a little kid doing an impression.
Yes, it does. It sounds just like that. It sounds like, yeah, like a kid or a person like doing the roar, and it's just weird. Like, yeah, no. I watched it earlier, and I was actually taken aback. I was like, "What? That can't be real! Like, there's no way it would sound like that." I guess it does. I
don't know about the alternating eye colors either. That's a little bit.
That's kind of weird. Like, why do the eyes even light up? Like, that's just, I don't know. Whatever.
But the animation is really cool.
The animation is cool. So here's a picture from Toy Fair from the Mattel booth. So they do have a few dinosaurs. There's the aforementioned Mosasaurus, which looks nice. There's the new T-Rex, which, anytime there's a new movie, anytime it's a new year, like every year, Mattel does a brand new T-Rex. And then there's the Spinosaurus, which is interesting to see that it's a bipedal Spinosaurus, because in the trailers it's walking like on fours, I think, or maybe they're just swimming. But anyway, it's cool. It's cool that there's a few things to see there from them. Hopefully we'll get to see more over the course of the weekend. But yeah, that's the Mattel Jurassic stuff. And Yeah, a few things to speak of. Josh said, my drunk uncle when he tries to sound like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Britt says, I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. Yeah, it's a good prank to plan an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. Like I couldn't believe. I was like really taken aback. I was like, wow, how can it possibly sound that way? But it does. Dodson says Mattel has a pretty bad PR team when it comes to leaks. They go ahead and blame the ones who post the leaks because we thought they were okay showing it. Yeah, so I mean the leaks with Mattel, they never really specify like because they're leaks, right? I mean they're not supposed to come out, but they do. And Mattel never does like a press release like Hasbro does, for example, saying, "Oh, this is coming out in May. You can go ahead and pre-order it like in 2 weeks." And Mattel never does that. They used to do a little bit of that when they got the Mattel license. Like for the first year and a half, they were doing press releases. They were communicating. But after that, they just stopped. I don't know why. I don't know what changed. I don't know what happened. Mattel's like, I think Mattel maybe is even bigger than Hasbro. So I'm not sure like what the deal is. I mean, I'm sure they can have people on hand that can do things like that. So I don't really know. I have no real connection to Mattel haven't for years now, but yeah, I don't know. Anything I guess will just be speculation. Dodson says, this talk of Jurassic is getting me excited for July. Victoria, would you be doing Jurassic June, and will you bring Chris Likes Dinos back? Yeah, I would love to have Chris back on. I've been trying to get some of the Jurassic folks back on. They seem to be very busy, and we haven't. You guys know we used to do like these big shows with a bunch of Jurassic people in the Jurassic community, and those are always a blast. Those are some of my favorite shows to do, but everybody's just been busy. So I'd love to do it. Hopefully in June, and then of course when the movie comes out in July, it'd be fun to catch up once again. All right, moving on. I'm not going to torture you guys with that dinosaur sound again. I'm not, because then I'd just be torturing myself, and that's no fun. The DC license returns to Mattel. This is news that was spreading yesterday. I first caught wind of it from my pal Toy Shiz, who posted it. Article here is from the LA Times. So Mattel is receiving back the rights to make the DC themed action figures and other toys. So I think 6 years ago is probably what it was. Mattel lost the license to McFarlane for the collector segment. However, for the kids segment, that license went to Spin Master. And Spin Master has done I think has done a really good job of creating an evergreen, ever-present toy line of 4-inch DC figures. They've been on the shelf consistently for the last 6 years. And I really got to say, again, hats off, but to Spin Master for doing a great job keeping these on the shelves at all times. And they supplement them with vehicles and some play sets and some really nice stuff, creatures, things like that. So they do a really nice job there. As far as McFarlane, they've been doing the collector-oriented figures for the last 6 years. And, there's been a lot of hits and misses. McFarlane has always been a little bit behind the curve in terms of action figure technology, so to speak. And that encompasses likenesses, that encompasses sculpting, that encompasses articulation systems, that encapsulates QC, paint, all that stuff. It's kind of like, and I was going to say kind of like NECA, but not really, because NECA's sculpts look amazing, but NECA QC is pitiful, right? For McFarlane, the QC is not always the best, but it's not as bad as NECA tends to be. But the sculpts aren't quite as good as what NECA does. I will say in recent years, they've made strides in terms of how they've improved the quality of their products for the DC lines. They started off, not very strong, but they've been doing like all the Batmobiles are amazing. They've really been focusing on 6-inch scale Batmobiles, and they've just cranked them out like nothing else, right? Like no tomorrow. Or the last year, they did the Batman '89 Batmobile. They re-released the animated series Batmobile from the DC Direct days. They released the Tumbler. They did the camo Tumbler from the Dark Knight trilogy. They released the Batman Forever Batmobile. They did the Batman and Robin Batmobile. They did the Batman Beyond Batmobile, the flying one. So it's like they're doing really, really interesting and cool things. They really are with the license right now. And I'm honestly just kind of wowed at the fact that they've released in such a short time all these Batmobiles, and they're actually really nice. I've been collecting all of them. The figures have gotten better, starting with like the Batman Forever wave, then the Batman and Robin wave, and they've kind of, I feel like they've just found their stride for the most part with DC and the Batman stuff. So it's kind of it's kind of weird that right as they're finding their stride and doing really cool things, that they're losing the license. I'm not really sure what happened. I had been hearing that there was some shaking up with the DC license going on behind the scenes, and I've been hearing this since like September. But we didn't have the details until very recently, obviously until yesterday, with regards to this. So it's an interesting development. As far as it going back to Mattel, I'd rather it stay with McFarlane if given the choice. I'm not the biggest fan of McFarlane. He's said some crazy things that are just ridiculous. And, I've been buying some of their product just because it's stuff that no one else is doing, but I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the company per se. But at the same time, I got to give them credit for what they've been doing with the DC license lately. So for it to go to Mattel had the license, right? They're just getting it back. I wanted it to go to Hasbro. I really did. Because we've seen what Hasbro is capable of. When you're talking about 6-inch figures, look at what they do at Marvel Legends. They're amazing. Look what they do with the Black Series. Even though I don't collect them anymore, they're pretty amazing a lot of the time. So I really wanted to see what Hasbro could do with a 6-inch collector DC line, because I think it would be epic. But Mattel, on the other hand, is more toy oriented. They're not really going after the collector market. They do make collector geared products. But that isn't really something they excel in. That's more of a Hasbro thing. Hasbro, Hasbro's done a really good job at figuring out its collector audience and bringing in collectors and having adults come in to buy their product. And they've built up that relationship with their fan streams and their presence at conventions and stuff. And Mattel just hasn't quite done that. They haven't figured out that market quite yet. So I'm apprehensive of it returning to Mattel. They did do some decent stuff back in the day, but with like the DC Universe Classics, but that was a long time ago. That was 10 plus years ago.
What about the recent Motu stuff that Mattel's done? The Masters of the Universe stuff?
Yeah, I mean that I don't collect any of that, but it is cool to
Yeah.
see. And again, that is more toy oriented. That is more toy focused. It's not really, if you're buying that stuff, you're buying it, even if you're a collector, you're buying it and you're still seeing it's a solid toy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like with Hasbro, a lot of the stuff it's still toys, but when you have like a Marvel Legends or something in hand, like it feels like it's they were thinking about an older collector when they made it.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way about any Mattel product. Even though they might say this is for a collector, like the Jurassic World Amber collection or Hammond collection, for example. It still feels like a decent toy. It doesn't feel like they were solely focused on collectors. So I don't know what they're going to do with the license. I imagine they're going to return to 6-inch scale. Anyone that remembers like the Suicide Squad line or the Batman v Superman line, those weren't that great. Even back then, those are pretty outdated in terms of what they were doing. So I can only hope that they do some really good stuff with the line, and that it's not a return to what they used to do before, because they really needed to update their stuff right before they lost the license. And I assume that's why they lost the license, part of the reason. So hopefully they got the license back for good reason, right? They lost it for good reason. Hopefully they're getting it back for good reason. Hopefully they showed Warner Brothers that, some prototypes or something, like some concepts of what they could do to take the license into a more collector targeted territory. That's what I want to see. I wish them the best with the license, because I do love DC, and I want to see some really cool stuff from them.
So what do you think McFarlane will do to fill that void?
That's a good question. Because I feel like DC in recent years, I mean, they do Spawn and they do all their other stuff, but like DC has been like a big part of their business model in recent years. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna acquire a different license for something else? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm generally not sure what they're gonna do. They're gonna probably want to make that up somehow, but I don't know what they're gonna do that with.
Yeah.
Dodgson, Victoria's eBay notifications are going crazy. No, that's because I had my email open. That wasn't eBay. That was my email. But I closed it. I just closed it. Sorry about that. I wasn't even noticing it. Things just like go over my head sometimes. Let's see. See what the comments say here. Rodri, hello, says, rest in peace, McFarlane DC line. Yeah. Britt says, my hope for them making more female DC characters has not increased, unfortunately. Yeah. That's one of those weird, like, niche, like, McFarlane things, that it's just a weird, stupid, idea that they have. But, yeah, we'll see what Mattel does. Maybe they'll do more. Maybe they'll be even better. I don't know. I'm just glad I bought all my Batmobiles because I doubt that Mattel's going to be doing them. Let's see here. Dodgson, you could join that. We can talk about that. I mean, anything's possible. Bob's asking, will McFarlane still be able to make figures from the Batman? Those are the only ones that I collect, hoping to get more when the sequel comes out. No, they're not going to do it. They're losing. They're all the DC licenses going back to Mattel, but that's not until 2026. That's like mid 2026. So they're still going to McFarlane's still going to be doing stuff this year. They're going to be doing stuff the first half of next year. So there's still stuff that's going to be coming. It's not going to be an immediate thing. Because obviously these toy lines take a long time to plan out and to produce and to ship and all that. So there'll still be quite a bit to come. As far as the Batman 2, I don't even know when that movie's coming out. Keeps getting pushed back like over and over. I don't even know. I'm tired of like even thinking about it. Robert Pattinson's going to be an old man by the time they make the Batman Part 2. Well, I guess the new figures from the James Gunn universe will be released by Mattel. DC figures in Masterverse scale would be great. Yeah, that's another part of this too. And I do have to wonder if on some level Warner Brothers saw the huge slate of films that DC wants to become, that Warner Brothers wants to come out with for DC, with the Superman and the Supergirl and the Brave and the Bold and all those movies that they're working on, and maybe saw, well, maybe McFarlane wasn't going to be able to meet the production numbers that Warner Brothers wanted, and Mattel can. So maybe that was a part of that decision.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mattel going to jump on the new Superman or redo older DC products lines? I have no idea, Charlie. We don't know. We don't have any details at this point. All we know is the whole thing is going over there. So any DC property, any version of Batman, any version of these movies, it's all game. They're going to be able to make basically whatever they want. I would anticipate that we're probably going to see early on, and this is just me guessing, I have no idea. I would guess they're going to see what's been doing well in collector lines. I mean, when you look at McFarlane, when you look at some of these other companies, Figure Arts, and even the 6-scale companies, like, they're really focusing on older Batman properties, like the Tim Burton films, even Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, the Dark Knight trilogy. It's old enough now that there are some people that are becoming nostalgic for those movies, right? So that stuff is still being made, and we've been seeing a lot of like Tim Burton Batman lately. So I would guess that Mattel is going to try and do some of that too. And they're also probably going to try and do some of the newer content that's going to be coming for DC. Rogue Killer says, no more Joker repaints on all characters. I appreciate the offer. Maybe in the future. Not ready for that yet. Not ready to show my face at this time. Whatever you're good with, Dodgson. We know that, you know, you gotta get those dinosaur embryos in the Barbasol can. So we wouldn't want to ruin that for you. The master license. Yep, the master license. The master license. They're going to be doing it all. They're going to be doing the collector stuff. They're going to be doing the kid stuff. The whole thing. The whole thing. Mattel stay in 3 1/4 inch or 6 inch, or would they branch out? My guess is that they're going to be doing 6 inch because that's what they. Okay, let me take that back. Let me walk that back right now, because they were doing 6 inch when they had the DC license previous, but when they started doing the Jurassic figures in that scale, they were 6.5 inches. Why? I have no earthly idea. Anything over 6 inch in terms of like a plastic little action figure, I think is just weird. I don't care for 6.5 inch. I don't care for 7 inch. That's just awkward. Like, it gets to that point where it's like just awkward. It's a little too tall. 6 inch, I'm good with. I hope that they keep it 6 inch. 3 3/4. Well, they are doing that for Mattel. For Mattel, they are doing that for Jurassic. So I would guess yes, they would do it for DC as well. But it's not going to be the vintage collection. It's going to be more like what you see with Jurassic. I think that'd be the caliber of that 3 3/4 inch DC line from Mattel. Tari the Unicorn says, InArt has the 1/12 DC line, probably only outside the USA. Okay, so let me walk back another statement that I made. Master license. So that means that everything McFarlane's doing and everything that Spin Master is doing. It doesn't include the 1/6 scale collector line. I'm sure that Mattel could do 12-inch figures, and they already do, like those we used to call them the shampoo bottles like a decade ago, because that's kind of what they look like. They look like you could play with them in the bathtub, and that's about it. I'm sure they're going to do stuff like that, but beyond a certain price point, at a larger scale, that's a whole other type of licensing arrangement. So that's another thing that's up in the air that I've been hearing about for some time. Is Hot Toys may not continue to do DC. I know that sounds like weird and unrealistic, but that's one of the things I'm hearing, is that Hot Toys may not continue to do them, just because they're reorganizing and renegotiating the licensing for those. It may go to strictly to like InArt and Jazz Inc. I don't know. We'll see. But that's another thing that I'm sure we're going to get news on sooner rather than later, how that's going to work out. And it could be that Hot Toys renegotiates and continues to do them from here on out, or maybe exclusively. But that is something that they're looking at too. Roger is asking, do you think McFarlane Superpowers figures are going to increase their value after this news? Yeah, so that's another thing that McFarlane does, is the Superpowers line. I'm not sure, Brett, if you're familiar with that line, but it's like the smaller, like they're like 5-inch, and they're meant to look almost exactly like the 1980s figures, the Superpowers lines.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, and they have like vehicles for them. But it's actually a pretty nice little line. I bought a few of them. I bought some of the vehicles, like the Wonder Woman Invisible Jet. I bought that. That was fun. Which is just a clear plastic, as you might expect. Yeah, no, McFarlane, yeah, they're not going to be able to do any of that anymore. So are they going to increase their value? A lot of that stuff, I think, has been pretty well saturated in terms of how much it's been available to the market. There's been a lot of it available. I think certain items have already started fetching higher values, not because of this news, just in general. Certain things have been a little bit harder to come by, and they are harder to find. But on the whole, I wouldn't expect that to change right away. I would think it might be a few years until you start to see the long-term reaction that the market's going to have to, secondary market's going to have to those products in terms of what people want to pay for them. So yeah, interesting stuff. We'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens with Mattel. Again, I wish them the best. I hope that they make product that I want to buy. Or do I? Do I need to buy more product? I don't know, you guys. The fact is, I'm kind of thinking about maybe like a semi-retirement eventually. I don't know when exactly, but I was talking about on Instagram the other day how I've been collecting since Power of the Force 2. 1996 is when I started like actively collecting Star Wars, and it's been nonstop ever since then. I don't think more than a few months have elapsed at any point over those 29 years that I haven't bought a Star Wars figure from Hasbro. So next year, that's going to be 30 years. It's like,
Wow.
I've amassed a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of money on this stuff. It's like, do I need? No, I don't need to continue. Do I want to continue? What's that going to look like? I mean, that 30 years, that's a long time to do, it's a lot. That's a long part of your life to devote to something, right? And obviously I'm passionate about this stuff. Obviously I love this stuff. Otherwise I wouldn't be here talking about it right now. I've met a lot of really cool people and done a lot of cool things because of these toys. But at the same time, it's like 30 years, like, do I want to go on like maybe it's time for something? I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not rushing to make any decisions, but it is something that's crossed my mind. Really.
Crazy talk, Victoria. Crazy talk.
I know. Who is this person? It's the Clone Witch. That's who it is. The Clone Witch.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to shift gears here into something else. Change gears into something else. Because Hasbro Star Wars has some new stuff. Brett, I know you've been waiting for this stuff very patiently. So let's go ahead and
It's my bread and butter.
Here. As I always do, I'm going to jump over to banthaskull.com and poach their photos because that's what I do. Thank you guys at Banthaskull. We're going to look at the images here of brand new stuff that they've shown to us. I'm just scrolling down here to make sure I don't miss anything when I start talking about it. Brett, do you want to start with TVC or do you want to start with Black Series?
Let's start with Black Series.
Yes, sir. Let's talk helmets. So, another helmet. I don't think there's any collector alive that didn't expect this to come out at some point. As soon as they released that very first all-white Clone Trooper helmet, I think everybody knew that at some point they were going to do a 501st helmet. In fact, somebody told me a couple years ago when they did that, oh, I'm going to buy the white one. I'm going to paint it like 501st. I'm like, don't do that. They're going to come out with it. They're going to come out with it at some point. Yeah. Well, here it is. 501st Trooper. And I do buy some of these helmets. I don't buy all of them. 501st, I'm going to have to buy. I mean, it looks good. It looks like what you would expect. I wasn't expecting a lot from this. It looks like exactly what you would think it would be. So it's not particularly exciting. It's not particularly like, oh, wow, can't wait. It's just like, I knew this was coming. And here it is.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, we definitely knew this was coming. I struggle with the color, the proper color for the 501st sometimes. Like when I look at certain images of this, it looks a little too teal. I know it's not just a straight blue. I don't know. Help me out. Like, what do you consider the appropriate shade of blue for this guy?
Oh man, so that's that is a very debatable subject that people have been arguing online about for a long time. It's tough when you watch Revenge of the Sith, which the first time we ever saw these, the blue looked like a medium kind of blue color. I would say it looked a little more deeper in blue tone than what we see here. In Clone Wars, I think they kept it pretty close for the most part. I think with Clone Wars, actually, like with Captain Rex especially, they kind of went more for a royal blue. And even in Ahsoka, when you look at the 501st Phase 1 troopers there, not the lieutenants, the 501st Phase 1 troopers, And even the figures that Hasbro released, it's a royal blue. It's very deep, pure, true royal blue. But then you think about Obi-Wan Kenobi series, right? Like they showed these, and they were more of a lighter blue, almost like a sky blue. It was like a lighter, not like
like a North Carolina Tar Heel blue, right? Kind of.
I don't know what that is exactly.
It's just a light. Yeah, it's a light blue.
It's a light blue. It's like maybe the sky, like at not midday, but like a little bit later in the day, like 3 o'clock. I don't know. I'm kind of being weird, but it's definitely like a lighter blue in the Obi-Wan series. When we see them show up again in Mando season 3 in the flashback, it's the same thing, right? I think they use the same costumes. It's a little bit of a lighter blue. Hot Toys made both versions. They did the Revenge of the Sith, which was a little bit of a deeper blue. Then they made the Obi-Wan Kenobi version, which is this color, like a lighter blue. This looks to me like it's based on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I know the packaging is Ahsoka. Did these actually appear in Ahsoka? I don't even remember seeing these in Ahsoka.
Not the phase. Oh, there was the flashback scene. They started off with phase 1, I believe, and then didn't it move to another scene in a different battle that was phase 2? I haven't watched it in a while. I need to watch it.
Yeah, when they switched to the that was the Mandalore, right? The Mandalore Battle of Mandalore.
Yeah, right. That was phase 2. Yeah.
It was phase 2, but I don't remember if I saw these. I know that
actually,
I saw the orange ones. Like those were in there, but I don't remember if these were in there or not.
I don't remember. Yeah.
So I don't know why it would be labeled Ahsoka when it's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, but whatever. It's I don't know. I kind of would have preferred if they would have done it like the deeper blue, like that we see in Revenge of the Sith. That would have been my personal preference. But it's so subjective. People argue about this all the time, and part of it is the color grading in the films or the Clone Wars or the live action TV. Some of it is the lighting, like there's But to me, this is pretty obviously when you look at it, it looks like the Obi-Wan Kenobi clones.
Yeah, it does.
So looks cool. I don't want to spend the whole segment on the helmet, but yeah, it's nice that it's coming, but I am gonna nitpick because that's what collectors do. All right, let's see here. Let's go up Black Series. So we will start. I don't know why these are mixed up. Let's start with this right here. Cassian Andor in Senar test pilot gear. So this is from season 2 of Andor. We don't know the details yet. But yeah, he's basically in a very kind of TIE-ish fighter pilot sort of outfit. It looks like a different kind of a TIE pilot. It looks pretty cool. I don't know that I'm going to pick this up, but it is cool to see. It is cool to see it. I mean, it's nice that we're seeing this design for the first time. Another kind of TIE pilot, I guess.
Yeah, I like the helmet a lot. It's a really cool design.
Yeah, in the red, like it just looks nice. It is a nice looking figure.
Obviously, this is from where he steals that TIE fighter in the trailer.
Yeah, yeah, it's neat. The head, I guess it looks fine. I guess we'll need to see it in person. I mean, not a whole lot to say about that. Let's see. Director Krennic is coming back. I think this is the same figure. They did mention that it has photoreal this time. And I think they said it didn't have photoreal before. I guess that's true. I don't really remember for sure.
Well, I think the head sculpt is actually all due. I mean, I think they mentioned the photoreal, but to me, from what I remember of the Black Series version, it was a way worse head sculpt. A lot softer features.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Unless they already re-released that one and I just missed it with a better head sculpt, and this is just a update. But I don't remember seeing this version of his head sculpt before. So
yeah, they did make it a point in the stream to say like that they added photoreal to it, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think anything else here is new. Praetorian Guard from. These pictures are jumping around. Imperial. It's gone. Imperial Praetorian Guard from season 3 of Mandalorian. This is a really cool one. I really liked these guys in the show. I thought they were really awesome. And I was really hoping that TVC would get them at some point, and I still do, and I still expect that they probably would come at some point. What are your thoughts in terms of the weapons? Because we know that there's 3 different weapons, and this version comes with 2 of the weapons. What do you think of the way that they're doing that?
I guess it's like a whip. Is it kind of like a laser whip?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that one's a little bit awkward. The way it's molded. I don't know. I don't know what they could have done differently, but just my initial thoughts is I didn't really care for that one.
Yeah, like the
Is there a
Hot
third
Toys
one?
version came with like glowy like effects that look really cool, but they didn't do that for these. Instead, they mentioned in the stream that the whip thingy has like a when you reflect it on like light off of it, like it looks like it glows.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish it had the 3rd weapon. I mean, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It's a neat looking figure. I'm sure it's going to do just fine. I know a lot of collectors will probably buy multiples of them. The posing in these pictures looks really nice. I just wish that the weapons had those little glow effects, because those are a really big part of these weapons. Even in the Last Jedi, like they all had like glowing little effects on them. I don't think Hasbro made the glowing effects for those though, for Black Series back in the day. This is kind of an interesting photo because he's going to open a door or something.
Yeah. It does look like that.
Yeah, cool photo. But yeah, I think in the show that was a sword, and then like it collapsed into a whip.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It'd be nice if it had both versions of that, but maybe they're not including the 3rd version because they're going to do like a 3-pack or something. I don't know.
Yeah, re-released Paz Vizsla with 2 of those guys with different weapons.
Another season 3 figure from Mando, Moff Gideon in dark trooper armor. This looks really nice.
Yeah, I like this one.
I think they had pipelined this one a little while back. But yeah, he looks great. This one, he does have the little glowy effect. So I don't know why this one does and the others don't, but it looks really nice. Yeah, I think it looks great. One nitpick that I would say, the head sculpt looks awesome, by the way. It's just, it looks dialed in. One nitpick though, is they said that this helmet is just a removable helmet. It's not interchangeable, which is fine. But to me, it's kind of obvious in some of these pictures that it's removable, meaning that it looks a little bit big.
Yeah.
Especially this first photo right here.
Yeah, it does look a little bit too big. Not ridiculously big, like really obvious, but yeah, when you stare at it for a while, you can something just a little bit off with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not Sabine Wren TVC big, but it's noticeably a little bit oversized.
Yeah, I think they've learned their lesson with TVC on the helmets finally.
Right, I know. So I think that's it for the mainline stuff. So there's also the Walmart exclusives for Black Series, and I guess we'll start off with the first one here is Count Dooku. This is I don't think they mentioned anything was different about this figure. They didn't say like anything was changed. So I'm assuming it's just a straight repack.
No, I think it's straight repack, yeah.
Which this is still, I think to this day, is still one of the nicest Black Series figures they've done. And
yeah, it's very cool.
So it makes sense. If you're celebrating Revenge of the Sith, Count Dooku should be a part of that celebration. But yeah, it looks like the same figure. Nothing really new to speak of here. After that, they are bringing back Kit Fisto. And I think they said this was also a repack. I assume that there's probably going to be minor, like unintentional paint variances from the initial releases of these. But I don't think they said anything was really different, if I recall.
No, they just said it was a repack. But You're right. When they repack these things, there's usually some variations of the paint.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid figure when it first came out. It can't really hold its saber in two hands too well, but not bad. R2D2. They mentioned for this one they did do some retooling on his so that you can put the thrusters in his arms. But other than that, I think it's the same figure that they redid a couple years ago. It's nice. It's very clean. I maybe perhaps wouldn't have minded seeing a little bit of like carbon scoring or something on it, a little bit of detail, but yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's cool. He does come with all the little plugins and such.
Yeah, you can keep those. You can store them in his neck. His head raises up. I thought that was a pretty cool feature.
You know what I noticed when they were showing this one, they had him on a little like a little display stand, like a little clear display stand, and it looked really cool. I was hoping that it came with the figure, because just a little display stand like that would have pushed me over the edge to wanting to buy it. But it doesn't. It was just something I guess they put together for the figure. But I want to know what it is, so hopefully we can find out what that stand was, because it looked really cool.
Well, do you remember the I think it was the 30th anniversary Revenge of the Sith R2, and it came with the fire. It was like a fire stand effect, and then you could buy the battle droid, the super battle droid, and have it. That was really cool. Yep,
that is true. Does that cover all the Black Series? I want to say that it does.
Quite a few reveals for Black Series. I remember. I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of Black Series stuff here. A lot of it's obviously like repaints and repacks, though.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move into TVC, I just want to see what's being said about these Black Series. Hello, Jeff. Good to see you. Even if you're late to the stream, there's always the replay. Charlie says that the Hot Toys First Troopers had a lighter blue color. Yes. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi ones they did were definitely lighter blue than the Revenge of the Sith ones. Or Clone Wars, technically, is maybe what the boxes on those were. Britt says, I like to imagine separatists having this debate. TVC Mackin, hello. Welcome.
Hey, Mackin, what's up? That's my convention partner. We've hung out quite a few times at some cons.
Yeah. Let's see. Charlie says that Cassian looks so good. Rogue Killer says the chin also shows. Yeah, I did notice that on Moff Gideon. I don't know if it's the chin or his neck. I think it might be his neck that we're seeing, because the neck is just flesh toned on that figure. So I think maybe it's the neck that we were seeing. Britt says Kid Fisto is unfortunate. Could have given him the correct lightsaber and Jedi robes, like in the picture of the box. Does it really does it really have it on the box, the robe? I didn't even notice that. Let me go back and look.
That's always great when the photo literally on the packaging doesn't match the figure.
Oh yeah, because it's from the original release from 2005 had the same picture, and that figure didn't have the robe. So yeah, I guess I can't fault them too much on that, because they're reusing the old photo. But yeah, it would have been nice if it came with that. And yeah, it does have the wrong lightsaber now that you mention it, Britt. Good observation. Bob says Hasbro continues to put the Black Series figures on classic 3 3/4 inch packaging, seemingly unaware that Black Series collectors don't care at all about that.
Yeah, I'd say there's some truth to that, but
he's got a point. It's we're used to it now, right? Because they've been doing this for I don't know how many years, but yeah, the biggest insult of it all, and I don't want to speak prematurely. It's entirely possible that tomorrow or next month or later we'll see that they're going to release some Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary figures. I'm not holding my breath on that, honestly, but it's possible, right? So I don't want to speak prematurely, because I just don't know. But it is a little bit insulting if they don't, that they're doing this for Black Series and not doing anything once again for TVC, just like they did last year with Phantom Menace.
Yeah. I just say I think I'm probably in the minority of the people that collected Black Series, but I actually liked when they did the retro 3.75 packaging in the 6-inch scale. I thought it was cool. Like the when they did the Clone Wars packaging with the clone on the background. They did the Anakin and Echo, and I really liked those.
Hmm.
And I've heard like a lot of TVC fans like being jealous and wanting Vintage Collection to do those, but personally, I don't really see a point when we had those in 3.75. Um, just I mean that's
Yeah.
just me. I may be in the minority, but I'd rather just stick with the TVC card back for the releases in 3.75 since we've already had the retro Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars Legacy Collection, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me, but I think the majority. I think Bob's right. The majority of 6-inch collectors, they take it out of the packaging. They don't care about the packaging.
Yeah, I think so too. They look cool. I'll say that much. They look cool, and it is nostalgic to see these now because that line was amazing. That line was even though these days we would say like some of it was kind of gimmicky or some of it was obviously not the standards we uphold now for these kinds of figures in 3 3/4 inch, but it was still a great line for its time. It really was. Um, all right, so we're going to move on from Black Series to Vintage Collection. And if you're just tuning in, Cantina Social Hour, we got 45 in the house. Hello, everybody. You are tuning in here with myself and Brad on Fett, joining us tonight to talk about a multitude of topics, including Hasbro's Star Wars reveals from Hasbro Pulse fan stream, which took place earlier this week. So we're going to go to move into the Vintage Collection and see what was announced on Wednesday when they did this stream. So we're going to go back up here to the top. Who do I want to start with? I guess let's start with there's only three figures to speak of here. Let's start with this one right here. Ponda Baba Walrus Man was released in the Vintage Collection back in, was it like 2012, I want to say?
Yeah.
11,
2012 around there.
Yeah, and is now returning to the Vintage Collection in 2025. A whole 13 years later, same exact figure, couple of paint updates, but it's the same exact figure.
Same exact figure, and they did it for Dr. Evazan. So I knew this was coming. I was really holding out hope that maybe they would at least update the head, which is entirely too small. But I did know this was coming, and I knew it was going to be swivel hip still. I just really was hoping they'd do that, replace the head. But they didn't, and that's what Hasbro does from time to time. I'd say the one thing I do like that they're doing now with these re-releases is at least giving us an alternate card back rather than just re-releasing it exactly the same as the original 1.0. It's really good for carded collectors to be able to get an alternate card back, and it kind of keeps the original 1.0 a little more special, right?
Mm-hmm. I do like the alternate card back thing. And they're keeping the same VC number on this one. I'm okay with alternate card backs when the figure is the same. It's when they change out to a brand new sculpt and then it stays the same VC number that I don't agree with. I think anytime it's a brand new figure, it needs to have a brand new VC number to go along with it. So in this case, it makes sense. It's a nice photo. I almost feel like to some extent this photo looks a little bit like the ones that like more like the Rogue One version of this character than it does A New Hope. But I don't know for that to be a fact. It just, that's the way, to me, that's the way it looks. But yeah, you're right. The most frustrating thing with this one is definitely, let's get a good photo of it here. Is definitely the pea-sized head. No, not the photo I was looking for. That one right there.
Yeah, look at that. Oh man.
So we know that the Black Series version that came out with a few years ago, amazing. It's an amazing sculpt. It's a fantastic figure. They nailed it. The same with their Dr. Evazan and Black Series. They nailed it. I think Dr. Evazan for me gets a pass for them to repack it like they did with the alternate card back recently. because it that figure still holds up. I don't need a new Dr. Evazan. This, on the other hand, has not aged as well as Dr. Evazan has. This, when you look at it, it very obviously shows its age to you, right? The head is way too small. Now, I do think had they sculpted a new head, that's really all this figure would have needed. I would have been totally okay with a brand new head sculpt. I would have called it definitive and said, okay, you guys nailed it. You never need to do this guy again. But the fact that it has the same tiny itty bitty head on here, it's not definitive. It needs to be resculpted. And I'm gonna keep banging that drum for this until they do that, because this, I mean, gosh. And the other thing, the arm thing, right? Like if you look at his shoulders, they're just, I don't know, it looks a little weird because he has that removable arm, right? Like they look a little asymmetrical.
Mhm. Legs look tiny in that picture too.
Yeah. And one thing I was thinking about with this guy is perhaps part of the reason they didn't sculpt a new head is because he has the collar on his jacket. Let me see if there's a better photo of that. You can kind of see it right there a little bit. You can kind of see it right there. I was thinking maybe the collar would have gone in the way just a little bit, and maybe that's the reason they couldn't do a new head. But I think there are ways around that. Like you can see the collar right there. Frustrating. I think there are ways around that. I think that they could have. I think they could have addressed that somehow.
I think so too. I think they just didn't want to spend budget on any new tooling on this. They just wanted to get him out. They knew all these people are getting a Cantina and want these figures. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, and it's funny because there are Cantina kit figures going back 20 years that I would say you could repack them, you could update the paint, and they would be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A whole 20 years ago, right? Like some of those ones they did during the original trilogy collection, at the very tail end of that line, they came out with some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And those hold up. There were some of the legacy collection that hold up.
Yep.
But it's a case by case basis, right? And this is one of those that does not hold up. Dr. Evazan does. This does not. So I am very disappointed in this one.
Yeah. I think some people are taking, I think it's the Power of the Force 2 version and just popping that head onto this one. Because I guess the Power of the Force 2 is a little bit larger. I haven't done that personally. I don't have the Power of the Force 2 one, but I've heard some people are satisfied with that.
Huh. I didn't even know that was possible, but that's good to know. All right. So after that, let's jump up to the to this right here. This is the Imperial Armored Commando. Imperial Armored Commando. This is a deluxe figure. This is going to retail at $24.99. And yeah, it's got the wider card back because it is deluxe. Brett, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've soured pretty quickly on the deluxe card backs. When the first one was Cobb Vanth, and I was actually okay with it at first because it was our solution at that moment to the boxed deluxe figures that weren't on a card, which I couldn't stand because first and foremost, I'm a carded collector, so I like to be able to. I always buy two of every figure. I like to display a carded figure on the bubble, and I have no interest in displaying those closed boxes where you can't see the actual toy inside. So I was okay with this at first, but I'm starting to sour pretty quickly, especially on the ones where you really don't have that many accessories. They could easily fit it on a regular bubble if they wanted to. At least this one, you've got the shield. I think that makes maybe the difference to where it's not so egregious. I think the worst one was probably Sabine, the one that hasn't come out yet that comes with the Beast. That one, there's like minimal accessories, and she looks ridiculous in the middle of this gigantic bubble. So they've done them in the past without doing the wide card backs. They just need to go back to the standard 6x9s and just work on using trays. They used to use the trays that you stick behind the figure, for example, put the accessories there. they have ways of doing it. Or if you can't do that, I'm okay with a little bit less room for the film out. I was fine with it when they did it with they've done it several times, but like
Yeah.
the Mando and Grogu, the Din Djarin and Grogu release was like a Walmart exclusive, I think. It was fine. So yeah, not excited about this, but I do like this figure though. I knew this was I kind of pretty much knew this was coming, and I'm pretty happy with the figure itself. Just not happy with this trend of the deluxe card backs.
Right. Yeah. This is one that I wanted. I wanted this figure. I didn't want it as a deluxe. This is an army builder, and I don't think army builders should ever be deluxe.
Yeah.
At the very least, not without the commitment that it will be released on a single card. We know that did happen with the Dark Trooper, right? That came out on a single card like a year and a half later.
Yeah, that was weird.
But we didn't know that when it came out as a deluxe, and there were a lot of people that bought a lot of them, right? While they could have waited and saved half the money by buying it on a single card later, but there's no way to know these things. So it's another one of the cases like do I buy a bunch of them, or is Hasbro going to do what they did last time? And I think it's going to hurt Hasbro ultimately, because people are going to expect that it's going to come out on a single or regular release, right? And they're not going to go as deep as they did with the Dark Trooper. So I think ultimately that's going to affect the sales of this. I don't think it's, even though it looks like an awesome figure, I'm sure there's a lot of new tooling here, and some really great accessories. I think ultimately people are going to see deluxe. They're going to think, oh, well, last time they released a single, maybe that'll happen. Maybe I'll wait. It's a risk, of course. It's a gamble because we don't know that that's what's going to happen. But I think a lot of people are going to think that way, and it will cut into sales of this.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if we'll get lucky, they'll want to get more use out of this figure and maybe release an army builder pack where there's no shield and very minimal accessories. I don't know, but
yeah, that'd be interesting too. I do really like the figure. Like I said, this is what I really wanted them to do, and I mean, it's great that he has some of these accessories. Like the shield is nice. That other shocky weapon thing, the gun, the jetpack, the knife. But I mean, let's be honest, TVC 1.0, this would have just been a mainline release. This wouldn't have been a deluxe.
Yeah, it would have.
So
no doubt.
I have a lot of feelings about the deluxe line. When at first Hasbro was saying like, well, we need to do this because Jango Fett has a certain amount of paint apps, Boba Fett has a certain amount of paint apps. This figure's a little bit bigger. It's like, okay, at the time I was like, I bought into it. I was like, all right. But like now I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily necessary anymore. Necessarily necessary. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I will say is that when it comes to these deluxes, these cost $24.99 for a 3 3/4 inch figure with some extra accessories you wouldn't get in on the mainline release. I mean, if it cost $16.99 and only came with, let's say, the shield, the jetpack, and one of the blasters, would I be okay with that over getting a couple other accessories? Probably.
Especially if you want an army build, yeah.
Yeah.
That gets pretty expensive, $23.99, or is it $23.99 or $24.99?
$24.99, I think.
Gosh, yeah, trying to army build at that price, that gets tough.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to speak out of school. Let me make sure that's what the price is. We're gonna scroll up here. Thankfully, all that information is here. Yeah, $24.99.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and I feel like they've decided, okay, if it's going to be deluxe, we need to give them a bigger card back so they can feel like they're getting more for their money, right? Or something so it stands out as this is the deluxe item. But I just don't get that. I think if they absolutely needed a larger card back just to make the bubble fit on there, that's one thing. But just to say, if we're deeming it deluxe, whether it's a bigger figure or it's simply got just expensive paint apps, we're going to put in this gigantic card, and that's just ridiculous. And putting that Jango Fett in the box, that was terrible. I mean, I would have been fine if they needed to charge us a couple more dollars because it's got some nice extra paint apps. I would have been fine with that. But just put it on the card back.
Right. Back in the day, and Hasbro, they used to do these Q&As, like I think maybe like every week or every month. I think initially it might have been every week back in like 2009, 2010, like during the golden age of when they were just making absolutely everything from every corner of the screen. They used to say at the time, because they would come out with smaller figures like droids like R2D2, and then Jawas, and then they would come out with larger ones like Effin Mon and Hermiodal and some of those really large guys. And they used to say, well, the way that we were able to justify these larger figures is that we balance it out with smaller figures like the Jawa, like the smaller astromech droids. But I guess they've abandoned that philosophy now, because now it's just, we don't balance it out. We just charge $24.99 for the same figure, same size figure with a few more accessories. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm not really buying into it anymore. But that's where we are. That's where we are with these deluxe figures. This should not be a deluxe figure. This is silly. It should not be a deluxe figure. But it's cool, and I'm sure more than a few people are gonna buy a number of them, because it is an army builder. It's a new army builder that we've never had before. Before we jump into the final TVC reveal, I just want to look here at the comments and see what's being said so far, because I have a lot of thoughts about The Last Stand, so I'm going to hold off.
I do too.
Keep the anticipation building for just a bit here. All right, so let's see. Allison says they made a big deal about Ponda Baba's hair. Yeah, they did mention that the mustache was painted on a little more noticeably this time. Dodgson, will this be a retail release or an exclusive? I think this is I think Ponda Baba is a let's go. Let me go up here to the press release, but I think it's a fan channel. Yeah, fan channel. It's not going to be available at Target and Walmart, so it's not going to clog pegs or anything. So people that are saying Ollie's exclusive, it's not going to hit retail, so it's not going to be. It's not going to be a problem. No need to worry about Ollie's.
It's funny. You could probably still find the 3.75 Black Series version of Ponda Baba at Ollie's.
Yeah, you probably could.
They were everywhere.
Yeah. So that you're right. This is the third release, because they did release it in the 3 3/4-inch Black Series. Mm-hmm. Adam says we need a figure to look like a person in a giant mask. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Bob says the OCD in me is annoyed that Momo Nadon's name pillow has Hammerhead below his name, but Ponda Baba does not have Walrusman below his name.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Now I'm more annoyed.
Interesting. Capitan says, "Hey Victoria, may I have some Fanta?" Fanta. Well, this is Orange Crush, is what this is. You guys got to let me know, is Orange Crush available in other parts of America? Like, I don't know. I generally don't know. I know when I lived in Texas, I never saw it. So.
Oh, really? Crush?
Yeah.
It's just called Crush, right? Well, yeah, Orange Crush. I haven't noticed it lately, but I used to have it here in Texas. Sunkissed also. Sunkissed was more popular, I think, but.
Yeah, when I was growing up, Sunkissed was like the orange soda. I would never even see Fanta, so maybe it was just that, back then Sunkissed was like had the monopoly in that area. Scott 9 says this is cool for people who don't have it. You're right, but people that don't have it could buy the Black Series 3 1/4-inch on eBay for $5. So
that's what I did, because I previously just had the 1.0 on card. I didn't have a loose one, so when I knew the Cantina was going to get announced, I went out and bought all the figures before they officially announced it. And that one I picked up for I think about $10 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Black Series.
Yeah. So and probably shipped, right? $15 ish.
Yeah.
So I mean that or $17 for the new one. I mean, yeah. If you didn't have it, you could have gotten it very easily. Bob says, I'm very disappointed after all the money we gave Hasbro for the Cantina HasLab. They couldn't just tool up a new head for Ponda Baba.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. This is the year of return to Tatooine, right? Like this would have been the year to refine that release. And they didn't. And I don't expect that they probably ever will at this point. So, it's not the worst figure. It just doesn't hold up anymore. And the head has always been a little too small.
Mm-hmm.
Britt says, I feel like some of these pictures should be censored.
Talking about Ponda Baba.
Yeah. Jawas at Tashi says, it's going to be another Lando. Ponda will be on the pegs for years. Nope. Van Channel exclusive will not be on the pegs for years. Bob continues to say, I'm completely over the deluxe card backs. As a carded and loose collector, I'm done with it. I'm only buying the regular size cards, so Hasbro will actually be losing money on me at least.
I mean, they take up so much space, and then I like to keep my carded collectors in figure shields. That's how I display them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no figure shields. There's no star cases. There's no clamshell cases to fit these new cards.
Yep, completely agree. And I also
I've got my one Cobb Vanth. He sticks out like a sore thumb on my shelf next to all the other three. So
yeah, I also use figure shields. And there's no figure shield for this. I asked them. I said, "Are you guys going to be developing a new clamshell for this?" And they were like, "No."
Yeah.
So that's
because they know it's probably just a bad trend. It'll probably go away in a year.
I mean, the thing is, like, they can't just like make a case for it. Like, no company can just make a case because, like Hasbro always talks about with tooling, well, these clamshell cases also require giant 3-foot long tools to make, right? So, and so it's basically it's a flat. Because I used to work at a radio control car company that did RC cars and vehicles and all kinds of crazy like nitromethane and gasoline and electric vehicles. And for the bodies, which kind of similar, they would use Lexan plastic, which I think is technically a polycarbonate. They would have the molds, like really big molds for the bodies of the cars, and then they would have a stamp that comes down and like forms the plastic over the mold. I think it's something like that. So they can't just like make a bigger one without like molding a new press for it, right? And that's multiple pieces. So very, very expensive, and especially if they're only going to be selling like a small number of them, because Hasbro only makes like a couple a year. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So
I just remembered something that annoyed me even more about the new deluxe cards. So I don't know if you remember, but they came out with a Maldo Crease version that had the spider creature in it. And they put that one on an extra wide card. That extra wide card, there was actually star cases for because it was the same size that starting lineup uses, the sports figures. And so I have that in a star case that fits perfectly because it's the same size card. But then when they went to this deluxe, they changed it again. So it's like, can't win.
Wow. Yeah. And then there was also the I liked what they did when they did the Sith Trooper, the Amazon version that was the same size card but just had a bigger bubble. Yeah, like, I was okay with that. If they would have stuck with that for these deluxe figures, I would have preferred that. I know that on one of the streams, I think they had said that it came down to they didn't want the picture to be like very small. They wanted to still see a big picture, but to me, that's a small sacrifice to it was fine with the Sith Trooper. It really was. It didn't really like make a huge difference. I was fine with it. So I would have preferred that. I don't really love these either. But what can you do? Oh, we got our friend Jurassic Dave. Hey Dave, good to see you. Can't wait to stream with you again. Your setup looks great. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Capitan says, I hope the back to Tatooine has like this year's the Jawa Sandcrawler. Yeah, no. Yeah, Return to Tatooine is the Cantina. That's the HasLab. There's not going to be another Tatooine HasLab.
Yeah, I'm with you, Capitan. Though that's actually my number one wish for a HasLab would be a sand crawler. It would be humongous though, but I would love it.
It would be. It would be a little bit big. Allison says, for it to be really be deluxe, there should be 2 in the package.
Yeah.
There, now you're talking. A deluxe should be 2 figures. Okay, I that I can get on board with. I'll pay $25 for 2 figures. Hello, Josh. Josh says they are probably going to start bringing up the piece count next. It's pretty much the last thing they have left. Jeff says Sun-Kissed in Texas.
Yeah, it's definitely more popular than
Charlie says Orange Crush, more West Coast, I believe. Phantom Midwest. Interesting. So different territories maybe have more of a particular orange soda. I guess that's how that works. I don't know, because there's also like Pineapple Crush, and there's like Grape Crush and Strawberry Crush. There's like all different, but the orange is like the main one or the original one. Yeah. And if you live in Orange County here in SoCal, I used to live in Orange County. Like the Orange Crush has a whole different meaning there. I won't get into it, but it has a whole different meaning there. Jeff says, I'll be okay with Panda Baba's Peanut Head re-release if they drop some Cantina dinners and bangers for us later this year. I'm game. Release our Leo Shoes and a lot of the like Zizvit and Renat and a lot of those guys that we don't have. And yeah, I'll say I can live with that. Will they do that though? I don't know.
The big hope I have for our Leo Shoes is they've got the what's his name from Skeleton Crew. That's the same species, right? The
yeah. Oh no. No, so our Leo Shoes is a our Leo Shoes is a Defil, I think.
Yeah.
And
or is he a Snifian?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yep.
I get them mixed up with
Shivastivin and Wolfman.
Shivastivin, yeah.
Something like that.
I'm terrible with the names.
Bob says he uses Figure Shield as well. Awesome. They're offering, just by the way, I don't have a promo code for them right now. Sometimes I do, but right now it might work. I don't know. It used to be Victoria 10. But they are doing 15% off right now if you pre-order the Figure Shields, because they were talking about raising the prices on them. But if you pre-order them and pay like in advance, they'll give you 15% off. Just saying, it's kind of a good deal.
Yeah, I took advantage of that the other day and pre-ordered them.
Yeah, I have several that need to be, that don't, they're waiting to get put into shields, which makes me very nervous because I don't want things to get damaged. But like the last 2 waves don't have Figure Shields, so I'll be very happy when they come in. Yeah. Baron says, Brett Outfit made a video buying all the Cantina patrons he needed right before the HasLab. Yep, I remember that. That was a solid video. It was a fun video. And I'd suggest you make another showing current figure
costs. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I gotta do some research. Yeah, because a lot of them shot up after that thing announced. I bought those things on a whim based on a tease comment that Yakface made. Just a random comment he just did cheers with and he had I can't remember what he had on the picture, but that's all I needed to know that a Cantina was coming, and that was before the leak even came out. So yeah. I just went with that, and I made that video of I went on a mission of buying them all up, and it cost me quite a penny. It was, I can't imagine what it'd be now. I think I must have spent, over $300. I think. Yeah, that was before the Cantina was
almost the cost of the basic version, right, of the Cantina.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but
yeah. Thankfully, fun. I was saying earlier, I just never stopped buying these stupid little things. So I had all of them already, thankfully. Yeah, I know a lot of people did that. Went back and bought them all, and
yeah, because I was not a loose collector. I don't know if you knew that, Victoria. I was a strictly carded collector until about maybe 2 years ago. I opened my first figure, and then I was hooked, and so then I started getting into the world building stuff, and I'm totally hooked. So now I buy, both. So I buy 2 of everything. So yeah, so I had to go back
Yeah.
and collect those so I could have them loose for the Cantina.
Nice. Capitan says, I only use figure shields, UV protection all the way. Yeah, I don't know how much UV I have in my collection room, because it's the windows are always like blinded up, and not a whole lot of natural light gets in here, so I don't know how much UV is a thing. And I think the windows filter the UV anyway, so I don't know how much actually on a molecular level. I'm sure there's some effect, right? Because UV rays are everywhere, but I don't know, like, honestly, like how much of a difference it makes in my case. But it's nice to know that there's a little more protection. I'll say that. Charlie says, researching Fett in the USA now.
The funny thing, I was going to say, the reason I started using figure shields was because you remember the Saga collection in the original trilogy collection when they had the pre-vintage. That's when they first did the vintage style cards before TVC. We kind of call it pre-TVC, and they came in their own factory clamshells. And so I had those displayed, and then when TVC came out, and when I decided I want to put them in a case, the figure shields were the closest thing to those in appearance. And I was so OCD when I had them next to flowing. I wanted them to look as similar as possible. So that's actually why I got into it. But
nice.
The other reason I like the figure shields is they're not so deep. I think star cases, to me, they're just too deep.
Yeah.
And I like having the figure as close to the front of the figure, front of the case as possible. So that was the other reason I like figure shields.
Yeah, same here. Star cases are just thick. Figure shields are more they're slimmer, they're a little more compact, and I mean, when they're not on display, like in my wall, like I have like them going all the way around the wall, near the ceiling. When they're not there, they're in a closet, like on a shelf, like stacked, right? And if I'm just thinking, like, they fit pretty well, but if they were in star cases, they wouldn't fit, because those are they're a little bit too big. Yeah. But the Revenge of the Sith figures, that was awesome when they used to use when they sold the clamshells separately, when Hasbro sold them separately. I think it was $10 and you would get 5 cases, which is pretty good. Yeah. Man, the good old days, the things Hasbro used to do.
Yeah.
Let's see here. 17.28, how's it going? Any chance that these deluxe figures get released on regular size cards, maybe less accessories, especially for the OG 96? I mean, yeah, there's always the chance. Like we were saying earlier, the they have released the Dark Trooper. Maybe they'll do the same with the this newest Trooper, possibly. I mean, but we don't know for sure. I mean, as far as the OG 96, we're gonna talk about that in just a minute. Allison says, I had most of the Cantina aliens, but turns out I didn't have her check. Still don't. He'll be out working or something. Yeah, and
that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a nice one. Good old Lori Good, who played that character we had on the show once. Not on this show, but he was on the podcast. Acidity free also. Yep. Oh, yeah. Star cases turn yellow. That ain't good. I haven't had any problems with the figure shields discoloring. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna get into the last one. You ready, Brett?
I'm ready.
I saw your Instagram post. I know you're ready.
Yeah.
All right. So the last reveal, which he had been pipelined last year, I think maybe in June. Momo Nadon Hammerhead, an original 96 figure, finally being released in the vintage collection. Long requested, long demanded, been released a couple of times over the history of the Star Wars action figure line. Most recently in 2006, a whole 19 years ago, which is right. Is my math right? 19 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. And was almost going to be released after that, but just never happened. Finally being released in the Vintage Collection 2.0 Brett, you have the floor, sir.
Well, the figure itself, I'm very happy with. And I like the accessory choices. They started revealing just the figure itself and not the packaging. And I was worried. Tim from Boss Bounty, he was warning us that this might happen, that this was going to be deemed a deluxe figure. But I was so sure they were like, no, okay, they can deem it a deluxe figure. They can charge a few extra bucks. There's no way they're going to take an original 96 figure in the vintage collection, which is called the vintage collection, right? Because it's supposed to be an homage to the Kenner line. There's no way they're going to take one of those classic characters and put it on these damn deluxe cards. I could not believe it when I saw it. I wasn't 100% shocked, but just so irritated. And I don't get, I'm a pretty positive guy. I'm not one of those guys that just go on YouTube and just complains all the time. I'm usually keep it positive. But this got to me because this figure, Hammerhead, has a special place in my heart. He's one of the classic, any of the Cantina characters, especially the ones from the Kenner days, have a special place in my heart. So I could not believe they did this. It's just not necessary. They did not need to make the bubble that wide. You can see all the space, but again, they could put a tray behind him, turn the head, make it a taller bubble if they have to. There's something they could have done differently to put him on a regular card back. And I just think it's disrespectful to just choose their new what's the word I'm looking for? But the way they're using this line, the deluxe, and they're saying, okay, if we've deemed it deluxe, no matter what it comes with, if it's a deluxe because of the price point needs to be deluxe, we're going to put it on this card back. And they could have at least made an exception. And we didn't even talk about how they're giving these things VC numbers, and that's another issue for OCD collectors like myself to have VC numbers on these weird card backs. So yeah, it triggered me pretty bad when I saw this.
The vintage collection is the vintage collection because it's the vintage collection. If you mess with that formula, it's no longer the vintage collection. It's something akin to New Coke, right? You're changing the original formula. You're right. Original 96 figures should never be on deluxe card backs. It doesn't matter what that the figure is a half inch taller than Luke Skywalker, right? Like this 100% needed to be on an original sized card. The same size card they're using now that they were using in 1978, in 1979, all the way until the original Power of the Force line. Yeah, this one stings a little bit. Like you said, the figure itself, astoundingly good. I don't know that this could look any better than it does. I mean, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. It really, really does. Everything, every detail about the sculpt, every little bit of articulation, and it has a lot of articulation. It just looks great. Fantastic. The accessories, fantastic. To get it on an original size card, though, and as much as I love that double-barreled Power of the Force 2 blaster and that Saga Collection golden staff, I would have been way more happy for this to have just been on a standard size card with, the glass and maybe the blaster. I don't even know that it needs the other hand because you could put the glass in one hand and the blaster in the other hand, right? So I don't think it needed to have. They made it deluxe so that they included the accessories to make it deluxe, in my opinion. He's a little bit bigger, sure, but there were figures in the original Vintage Collection 1.0 that were also a little bit bigger that were just fine. Just this figure with the glass, with one of the blasters on a standard size card would have been sufficient. This did not need to be a deluxe. It should not have been a deluxe. And original 96 figures should never be on deluxe card backs. Yeah, this was this was a little painful to see. And at the end of the day, we're talking about action figures. We're talking about toys, but it's a lot more than that. The vintage Star Wars toy line is so ingrained across the entirety of toy collecting, whether or not you collect Star Wars, right? It's Star Wars, culturally significant, Star Wars collecting, and that vintage card aesthetic. I mean, that is so well ingrained into the public consciousness of pop culture, and this is a bit of a fail for it to be on a deluxe card. It at the end of the day, you're right. It is a bit of a it is a massive disappointment, and it stings a little bit.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know. I wonder, and they're getting a lot of blowback for this, and so just it makes me wonder if, well, I think it's too late for them to make a change because these things, by the time they're revealing it, these things are already coming out of the factories and getting loaded up. But if they could do another run, I wonder if they would consider doing that, a non-deluxe run, I guess, and just remove a couple of those accessories.
Yeah, they might, but it's probably going to be like a vintage color like release, I would guess. I think for something like this, I think the approach would have been like I was saying, just the figure with the glass and maybe one of the small blaster, and that would have been fine. If they really needed to get all these accessories out, which they didn't, they're only doing it because to make it more palatable as a deluxe. They could have found another way to offer it, or done a deluxe and a mainline version, which doesn't make sense for Hammerhead because I don't think you really need to do that. He's not an army builder. He's not like something that he's not a main character, right? He's Hammerhead, right? We love Hammerhead, but we love original 96 Hammerhead and wanted him on an original 96 shaped and sized card. So yeah, I mean, I think the blowback is warranted. I think there's certain things that people attack Hasbro on that are certainly not warranted, but I think this is one of them where they really messed up. They really messed up with this. This should not have been on a deluxe packaging.
Yeah, this one stung me. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, I mean, what other original 96s are there that, I mean, a man, right? Power of the Force, like, if they ever get into those, is that going to be a deluxe? Probably, right?
The Man, yeah, and that's one that I'll give them that will be tough. The bubble would definitely have to be deluxe bubble, and so it's just a question of you're okay with covering up most of the image from the film out. They could still do it. That will be a tough one. But aside from that, I can't think of any other original 96 that would be difficult to put on a normal card. So
yeah.
I mean, even put the Gamorrean guard on a normal card,
Oh yeah, that would never happen again. Let's look at this for a minute. Let's look at the size of the bubble here. If I can get the picture to stay. The figure, I would say, represents about 2/3 of the width of the bubble. Would you say that's about correct?
Yeah, at the feet.
Yeah, and the expanse of the arms, I guess that would be about 2/3 of the width of the overall bubble. So if you decreased, what is the size? Do you know off the top of your head, like how many inches are these deluxe cards, like width wise, compared to a?
They are, I think, 7. So it's a 7x9. So they're actually only 1 inch, believe it or not.
Okay.
Wider, I'm pretty sure.
So the bubble on this, let's say, is, I'm looking at a standard TVC here on the wall, is, let's say, about 2.5 inches wide, maybe 3. Maybe let's say about 3 inches wide.
3, yeah.
And then for this, let's say it's about, I don't know, 4, maybe 4 is a little bit high. If the figure takes up 2/3 of the bubble and we decrease that close to about 1/3, you still have room by the head to put the glass. You still have room by the head to put the smaller blaster. you decrease it by an inch or so, which would enable you to decrease the card size by about an inch and would result in a standard sized TVC card.
Yeah.
So there's no reason it couldn't have been done here. He's a little bit bigger, sure, but not that much bigger. We're not talking about like a Gamorrean guard. We're not talking about Hermiodal. We're not talking about Effant Mon. We're not talking about Amanda Man. I mean, this is a figure that when you look at it on the shelf, like with other Cantina aliens, he's not like that much bigger. He's maybe a little like slightly taller, but he's honestly not that much bigger than most other Star Wars figures. So, you know, at best, this is maybe just, I mean, I don't want to say incompetence because I wouldn't for a moment say that the Hasbro team is incompetent. I think they're awesome. They're amazing. But at best, you know, it's just maybe a lack of detail, maybe, or a lack of reverence for what TVC is, and at worst, you know, it's just a cash grab. You know, sell the figure for $8 more, you know, and make more money off of it. I mean, it's a bitter pill to swallow. This one was as much as I was, you know, it really hurts because we were all so excited for this figure. We've been asking for this character for years to get updated. We've been waiting for 19 years for this figure to be remade. And here he is. He's an amazing figure. He's everything I could have hoped for. But then we're not focusing here in this conversation on that. We're focusing on the fact that they made it a deluxe instead of a standard size card, which is really sad when you think about it.
Yeah, so I posted my disappointment on this on Steve Evans' IG post, you know, his page, and he actually replied to my comment. Let me read to you what Steve Evans, right, from Hasbro.
Oh yeah,
team.
of course.
Mr. Stevie 18 on Instagram.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Great guy. Yeah, great
Yes.
guy. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you've had him on. He's a great guy. I love him to death. So this is what his response was. He said, I appreciate the feedback from many Mint on card collectors on the 7x9 versus 6x9 card issue, and we'll take time to consider it further. There are various factors to balance, including differing figure costs and general retail packaging approaches for price differentiation. Our ultimate goal is to bring great figures, any figure, to you all. In the meantime, I hope fans will continue to enjoy the figure itself. So what he's telling me is that they made a conscious decision to change the packaging for a more expensive figure to differentiate it. So he could say, oh, this is the regular price figure. This is the more expensive because it's got a bigger package. So I mean, that's what he's basically saying.
Yeah, and I think most people get that. I don't think I think most people know that. I think that kind of goes without saying, but
yeah,
they, like you were saying earlier, they did do some other figures on standard size cards that did cost a little bit more. And if that needed to be the case, well, I think when you're talking about 096, I would make the exception there. That maybe that could be the differentiating factor. Like, okay, if you need to charge more for a figure, make it deluxe, but do that where it makes sense. If it's an 096, that's our dividing line. You know, 096, we're not going to do those on deluxe. They may cost a little more, but because it's 096, you know, you're going to get the standard size card. Like, I think that would have been the best approach. Do you remember how the vintage Momon Adon, or vintage Hammerhead, I should say, was packaged on card?
I mean, it wasn't any different than in the other ones. You know, of course, they didn't use an inner bubble back then. It was literally just one bubble, and the figure was just loose, you know, bouncing around.
Yeah, let me
probably find a photo of it, but
yeah, let me.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a wider bubble than the rest.
Let
of
me
the
show you.
figures. It could be wrong. I know Dengar was. He had a bigger bubble.
So this is the vintage Hammerhead.
Yeah.
The head was simply oriented off to the side.
Yeah.
That's how they got him to fit in there.
And they could do that and to make more room to put the tray, a back tray for the accessories behind him.
Yeah, exactly. The accessories could have just been behind him. Like, they could have done this. I wouldn't have minded the head off to the side. Like, that's not going to make me not buy the figure. It's just saying we wanted this for years. Move the head off to the side, put the accessories like behind his head. You could still see them. And then offer it on the 6x9 card instead of the 7x9. Like, it's a very easy solution. It's a very easy fix. It's a very simple thing they could have addressed. Now I know what Steve is saying there with, certain figures are going to cost more. Okay, sure. But again, I got to go back to what they used to say in the old days where they would balance something out, a larger figure with a smaller figure. And now they just charge a standard figure the same as a smaller figure and then charge more for the bigger figure. They're not charging us less for this Imperial chopper repaint, are they? So, I mean,
No.
why are you going to charge more for a slightly bigger hammerhead? It's
funny how that works, right?
Yeah. I'm going to bring that up to them next time. Like, next time you guys repack this 2.5-inch chopper figure, why aren't you going to charge $8 for him? Like, capitalism. Oh man. Anyway, I mean, I hate to be sour. I mean, we have 62 folks tuning in, watching, and I wish that we were only focusing on how amazing and perfect the figure is and how it was on a standard size card. But unfortunately, we're talking about the fact that it's what should be one of the crowning achievements of the vintage collection is being overshadowed by the fact that they opted to go with the deluxe package on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, still a great figure. I'm excited.
Definitely, yeah. Gonna look great in the Cantina. Yeah.
But yeah, we're a little bummed at the same time. We are a little bummed at the same time. Oh, by the way, let's do a quick screenshot for the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Awesome. Before I forget more often than not forget. So, but yeah, that's Hammerhead. I don't really have anything to add there, Brett. I don't know if you have any final thoughts you want to share about this guy.
No, I think we said it all. A great figure, just terrible choice to not put him on a standard card back. So we'll move on and just hope that maybe they'll re-release him on a proper card back later on.
Hopefully they will. I have a feeling that eventually Hasbro's going to do Kenner colors like they did with Boba Fett a few years ago. I think they're going to do that for these Cantina characters at some point, and I hope they do. I want to see that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But I don't know that that's where I'd want to see the standard card versus this version of the figure. Anyway, we are going to move on because we've almost been going for 2 hours, and that's a long time. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because that's not the kind of channel this is. And, we always try to skew positive despite, oversized Hammerhead card backs. But once again, and I'm only mentioning it because this is actually an instance of it happening where it was like right away called out that it wasn't true, like officially, and that hardly ever happens. This time it did, so I'm going to mention it. A lot of stuff in the news this week regarding Kathleen Kennedy, right?
A lot of stuff. Yeah. Interesting. It's very
yeah. So, if anyone's unfamiliar with this, and I'm sure most everybody is, there were rumors earlier in the week that, and, from legit sources, I think the Hollywood Reporter was one of them, which, always a legit source, that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be stepping down like in the near-ish future from her post at Lucasfilm. And of course you have the all the usual suspects, the same YouTubers over and over and over again that anytime they get a whiff of this possibility of her stepping down, they go all ape on that kind of news, and they get into their big parties that they throw and stuff on their channels, that whole thing, and then on social media as well. But it was rebuked pretty quickly. and in fact, Kathleen Kennedy herself spoke up about this, and they issued a release, and she basically says, and this is the quote from her: "I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I'm not retiring." So all the usual suspects that were saying that she was leaving and getting all crazy once again, as usual, as expected, got a quick reality check within a few hours time after posting their videos and posting their posts and all that stuff.
It was actually a few days, right? Wasn't it like Monday or something? Those articles started
It
coming
might
out?
have been. I think I caught wind of it like the next day that she had spoken out about it. I don't know what the exact time. Maybe somebody in the chat knows the exact time frame, but it was pretty swift. I think, like, for me, I had seen videos maybe on a Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. I saw videos, and then the next day I saw like, oh, wasn't true. But I guess the whole thing was succession planning, is what she said they were discussing, like, for the long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's not leaving. Still gonna be there. So yeah.
Yep. You gotta be careful what you believe on the internet.
You gotta be careful what you believe on the internet. Even when it comes from a reputable source, it doesn't necessarily mean it's automatically true. There's always a little bit more that we're not getting, right, from whatever it is. So and Britt says, always bizarre seeing people hate a woman who has had her hand in some of the greatest films of all time. And yeah, I mean, that's true with a lot of this. They like, you see people decrying all the stuff they don't like, but they just kind of pretend the great stuff that they did like didn't happen. So
yeah, or choose to forget that she was involved in all that stuff.
Right. And I mean, my opinion is, things have been a bit mixed in terms of like the actual content for Star Wars, and over the last what's it been now, like 12 years, 13 years, almost 13 years. But at the end of the day, those are just my thoughts, right? Doesn't make them right, doesn't make them wrong. It's just, reviews and stuff. If you consider those things, mixed, right? But I mean, that's the case for a lot of stuff. So, it's just funny that it delves into this sort of thing. But that's all I'm going to mention about it. I'm not going to talk about it further. I'm not going to address it further, but it is Star Wars related, and it is something that happened this week. So, I wanted to throw it in there because it did have an official rebuking. All right. Next up, we are going to talk about a trailer that came out this week.
Oh, yes.
So Andor season 2 is going to be here before we know it. Andor season 1, one of those series that was, generally pretty well liked and praised as being, just like top-notch level, like mature Star Wars. Now it's going to have season 2 coming, which, we've known season 2 for a long time, right? But now we're getting our first official look at it through this new trailer that came out this week. But first, let's talk about this poster. What do you think of, Brett, when you see this poster? I'm just curious if your thoughts are my thoughts as well.
I think when I look at this poster, I think it's illustrating that he's going into like full spy mode at this point. He's undercover. He's watching over his shoulder, making sure no one's following him, getting a little bit sneaky. And I think we kind of see that from the trailer, that how often he's changing outfits and that sort of thing. He's getting into a lot of interesting scenarios. Yeah.
So when I first saw this, you know what I thought? I thought like The Last Supper. I thought like
oh.
Yeah, I thought like Renaissance era, like artwork, like painting.
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah, you're talking about the
Raphael
actual
type thing. Yeah.
artistic
Leonardo da
style
Vinci.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
So when I think about that, like that kind of artwork, like the Last Supper, for example, like it that I know that historically that the Last Supper like image has had like a lot of interpretation, right? Like there's different uh characters in that photo, if you will, are suggesting different gestures and stuff. Like I don't know, for like this to me just kind of gives that sort of a vibe, like
Yeah.
there's stuff going on, right? But like anyway,
I just
I don't
think
want to spend a lot of time on this.
I think it's cool how the lights of the Death Star coming through.
Yeah.
His face there. So.
Yeah, definitely. So the trailer's out. We get to actually see quite a bit of stuff we haven't seen before in terms of returning characters, in terms of new characters. What did you think about the trailer?
Awesome. I loved it. We talked about, it's funny, the last time I was on your show, I think the Skeleton Crew trailer had just dropped, and we were talking about that, and I was talking about how it was a little bit weird that they were playing modern Earth music in a trailer for a Star Wars film, because I think they were what were they playing? Major Tom, right?
Yeah.
I think they were playing Major Tom in the Skeleton Crew trailer. And so this one they're playing The Revolution Starts, or I guess is what it's called. And I don't remember if I'd heard it in the past, but so when it kicked on, I was like, oh, they're going this way route again, with the modern music. And I still think it's a little bit weird, but I liked it. I don't know. It went with the trailer well. It got me pumped. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to just branch out to mainstream audiences, people that don't necessarily care about Star Wars, but might just see this cool action and spy thriller kind of thing. And just, I think that music kind of just gets people pumped up. And it worked. It worked for me. I love the trailer. I mean, just what I was seeing. I am so hyped for season 2. I love season 1. I think season 2 is going to be way better than season 1, if that's possible. But yeah, I was very happy with what I was seeing.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. It's very exciting. I'm very excited for season 2, and in a way, kind of timely with, with everything going on. But in my opinion, but I don't know. I just feel like right now I need like a Rebels, like going against an Empire sort of content, and yeah, no, season 1 was exceptional. It was just really good. Like I was saying, mature Star Wars. Like a different vibe of Star Wars, which is fine. With the live action, they've done all kinds of things, and I think there's definitely a place for something like Andor. And yeah, I think season 2 is going to be great. I am pumped. I am stoked. I cannot wait to see Director Krennic back in action. Like
Oh, yeah.
I am so excited to see him back.
Such a good villain.
Yes. And I can't wait to see who else, like from Rogue One, maybe makes a cameo or an appearance or plays some sort of role. And see that whole Rogue One story like close up and culminate with that film. It's gonna be pretty neat. It's gonna be pretty neat to see like the whole entirety of that story.
Yeah, definitely. I'm particularly pumped to see Saw Gerrera. I really like that character a lot. And then of course K2SO is maybe my favorite droid in all of Star Wars. Maybe 3PO's above them, but maybe aside from 3PO, I'd say K2SO he's awesome. So really excited to see the return of him and Alan Tudyk doing K2SO. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, super exciting. Super exciting. In addition to this, other news this week was that Revenge of the Sith is returning to theaters for its 20th anniversary. That to me is also very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Have you heard if they're going to be doing anything different with the movie? If there's any special added scenes or?
Not that I've heard. I assume that they would have mentioned that when they announced this. Like that. I was hoping like maybe we get to see it in 3D, because as we know, the original plan was to do all the prequels and all, I think all the films, all 6 films back, in 2012 when they started with the Phantom Menace, to do them all in 3D. But then Star Wars got sold, and that never happened. So I was hoping we'd get to see it in 3D, but that's fine. To see it in its original classic format's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. This and Return of the Jedi are my 2 favorite Star Wars films. And Return of the Jedi was in theaters a couple years ago too.
Right.
So to get to see
the anniversary.
This, for the 40th anniversary.
40th, yeah.
So to see this again for the first time in theaters in 20 years, give it to me. This is
20 years. It's hard to believe.
I know, it's nuts. It's nuts. That was a good era though. Just Star Wars toys and like I said earlier, one of the best toy lines, and I do want to do an episode just focusing on the Revenge of the Sith line one of these days. But that was just such a great time to be collecting $5 figures and $8 movie tickets, if that. I don't even remember what they cost. The good old days. But yeah, I'm pumped for this. I will definitely, as soon as tickets go on sale, I'll be there. No questions asked. I will be there to see this. Maybe even more than once. I don't know yet. I saw the original 5 times in 2005. So I don't know how many times I would. At least one, maybe more. Who knows? We'll see.
Is it just for one day, or is it multiple?
No. So I think this one comes out on April. It starts on April 25th, but it's
25th, okay.
They said start, so
okay.
I anticipate it's going to run.
Yeah, they would.
I think Return of the Jedi and maybe in Phantom Menace played for a couple of weeks at least. So I would expect at least a couple of weeks out of this.
Okay, that's good.
I'm eager to see what the receipts are in this, how much it earns, because Phantom Menace did better than they thought it was going to do. It actually did pretty well. So I'm curious to see if this is going to have a similar effect. All right. Before we get into our final segment, new acquisitions, I'm just going to do one more run through the comments here and see what's being said. Charlie says that each pulls in 20 to 40 million bucks. That's cool. I mean, that's easy money for them to make, right? Because you're just re-releasing an old movie. 22 says, I would like to see more of Admiral Radish in the X-Wing leader, especially so they can release his X-Wing.
Yeah. We need Radish in the TVC. Well, we need a lot of Rogue One characters in TVC still.
Oh yeah. We still need Baze Malbus, Bodhi Rook.
Baze, oh yeah. Those
the basics, right? We still don't have all the basics.
Yeah.
We need those before we start seeing some 2 tubes and some of these other guys.
That's true. Yeah.
I think they'll do 2 tubes eventually, honestly.
Especially because he's on multiple media now. I think they even had him in Tales of the Empire, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
The animated. I think he was on there too. So yeah, I like 2 tubes.
Matt says, my theory is that B2MO's personality will get transferred into K2SO somehow. Interesting.
They're kind of different, though. I mean, their personality is a lot different, but although they said his K2's personality got changed because of some issue with his wiring over time. So I guess it's possible.
Rick says, after this show, it is the perfect time for a Yavin playset. I agree. Even if it's just what they've been doing with the Navarro Cantina or the Moff Gideon Star Cruiser, something like that, I'd be fine with. Just a couple of Yavin walls with vines growing over them. And then if they could re-release that little what do you call it? The little car that they did.
Yeah, the little people mover car. What do you call those?
Yeah, the little, if they still have it, that little vehicle was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we are down to new acquisitions, brand new things that we've been adding to our collection. This is our final segment tonight on Cantina Social Hour.
Good. New acquisitions.
All right, so Brett and I will be sharing our new acquisitions that we have received recently. And then you guys, whatever you've added, the Cantinians here in the chat, whatever you've added to your collections, let me know in the comments. I will read them out, and we'll have a good time doing that. Brett, is there anything that you've added recently that you wanna mention?
Yeah, I picked out a few things. One, I literally just got maybe an hour before this live stream started. I'm pretty excited about, and it's this bad boy, AT-AT driver
Mm.
Lego helmet. Uh, when they started making these, this was actually my number one wish for this line. I just thought the AT-AT driver helmet would look really cool. And so really excited. I haven't been getting all of these, and I've actually stopped buying most of the Lego stuff these days. I used to be a big time Lego Star Wars collector, but just ran out of room. And so, but definitely had to pick this one up. Really excited. It showed up early. I wasn't expecting it till like late March. I thought it was the ETA, but showed up tonight. Really excited to get started putting this one together. Obviously,
Nice.
I love Empire Strikes Back is by far my favorite movie of all time, and I love everything about the Hoth battle. So really excited to get this one. So that's a cool one. I'll put together, and then I'll probably let people know how I like it once I put it together. I have not seen it like put together. I've just seen except the boxes, photos in the box. But so I got that.
Nice.
I went to I was in Fort Worth, Texas, for my daughter's gymnastics event, and they have a store there called Holocron, which is an awesome Star Wars toy store. They have one in Austin as well, but the original's in Fort Worth. So whenever I'm in North Texas, I try to stop by there, and they always have cool stuff. So I picked up a bunch of stuff, but I'll show just a couple of things. One, I got reunited with the Tauntaun from the Vintage Collection. I had this when it first came out, like in 2011, 2010, somewhere around there, really early in TVC days. And I bought this, and I only bought it because even though I was a carded collector, I did create one diorama for a Hoth scene.
Oh, nice.
So I did have some Hoth stuff loose. That was the only loose stuff I had. But then when I got back into collecting 2020, after I took like a 5-year break, I was still focused on carded. So I sold off a lot of stuff I had, and I sold this guy for like $100, which was a good price that I got for it. But now I'm back into loose collecting and world building, and so they had him on sale, not on sale, but for sale for about $50, which is about the going rate now for a loose Tauntaun. But it's a great sculpt.
Yeah, it is. Here, let me put you on. We'll zoom in on that.
Sure. Yeah, it's got some saddle's good. It's got some good paint apps on it. It's got good articulation. He's got ball joints with the hinge on, and it's really well balanced. Like you have no issues like standing him up. He doesn't fall over.
Yeah, it is. It holds up, and it's funny because when you look at even going back to like the vintage Tauntaun, like that doesn't look horrible these days. It still looks okay. But they've obviously gotten better over the years, and like this one's obviously still the best one. But yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, Holocron, I've never been there, but there's a oops, you're gone. There is a collector. There's a collector at Holocron, Gabby. I ran into her at the airport in Austin one time. I was wearing an Ahsoka shirt, and she noticed. So then we started talking Star Wars, which is a lot of fun. And now I think we follow each other on Instagram. But yeah, it's funny how that kind of stuff happens. But small world.
Yeah. And then the other thing I got, and I'll try to make it a short story, but so I do collect vintage Kenner mint on card figures. I'm focused on Empire Strikes Back, so all the ones I have are Empire Strikes Back characters, and I've got maybe 16, I think, so far. I started about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And so I'm always looking for Empire Strikes Back characters I don't have. And Holocron has a big section of vintage Kenner mint on card that they just got on star cases, just hanging on pegs. And they had a huge selection. And I was going through, and lately I was focused on trying to find a Imperial Commander, just any version, any variation of card back, whatever back, 41 back, 40, 48 back, it didn't matter. And I noticed they had one that was really nice. Like, it just caught my eye because it was like super nice condition. Like, I took it off the peg and I'm looking at it like, where is the defects? You always see at least some tiny little creasing or veining somewhere, or scuffing, bunch of edge wear, but I couldn't see anything. I was like, man, this is crazy. This looks so good. So what you do is they don't put the prices on there. You take them to the front, and you have to, ask the manager or whatever. So I asked him for the best price, and he told me, he said, you see that shipper box right next to all the card backs? And I looked behind me. I was like, yeah. He's like, that was the shipper box that figure came in. We, he told me they acquired that shipper box sealed, and they opened it and took the figures out and are selling them out of that. And it was a case of 41 back, figures from, like, 1981. And so he's like, that figure's never seen the light of day other than our store. And so I was like, wow. I was like trying to hide my excitement because he hadn't told me the price yet. So I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. But I was super excited because, if you're a carded collector, condition is so important, and that it's just be amazing to own a piece of history that's never been out of the shipper box until now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So enough talking. Let me just show it. So yeah, but he made me a really good. I mean, what I consider a very fair deal. It's for $220, which if you keep up with values of these things, $220 is not bad, and this thing looks brand new.
Wow.
It's crazy, but it's nicer than most of my TVC cards that come in the mail. It's just
Wow.
there's just
That is
nothing wrong with it.
gorgeous.
The bubble is perfect condition. The only issue is the tape that holds the gun is starting to come loose. It hasn't come loose, but it's starting to. So I'm a little bit nervous about shipping this off to get graded, because I do get, like, if I find a nice example of vintage Kenner, I try to get it graded. And this one should be graded because it's so nice. But I'm scared to ship it because of that tape. The gun might come off, and that could affect your score. So
Sure.
yeah, it's a 41 back.
Oh wow.
And it's just in like perfect condition, basically. So yeah, really excited about this one.
Yeah, that I think that's going to be the winner tonight. No, congrats on that. It's an amazing piece, and that's a very that's a very rare sample you got there. It's clean. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, congrats.
And just to find it in the wild, just walking into a store and just finding something like that, it was something else for a collector like
cool.
me to be able to stumble upon it.
So for me, I will go next. So we're talking about McFarlane earlier and how they're losing the DC license to Mattel in mid 2026. They've had some new figures come out recently, so I got a couple of those in. So the first one is one of their 7-inch figures. That's the Batman Begins right here. And yeah, so it's basically just Batman Begins. They've never done this version of the character before, I don't think. So it's nice to see. I like the pictures they use in the back too. They use like the poster.
Oh yeah, I love that picture.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, figure looks really nice. I'm actually pretty pleasantly surprised with the sculpt. Looks nice. And then at the same time, I received the single release of the Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh, cool.
So these two and Scarecrow are part of the way, but they didn't have Scarecrow available yet to order. So I ordered both of these through GameStop, and they came in pretty quickly. And they did release the figure before. He came with the Batmobile, and he also came with like a big movie pack that they made. But this version is the first one to have like he's got these little sticks in here, these two little sticks, and those plug into his cape, and he can do like this pose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so pretty cool. I know this sold out like on Amazon and Entertainment Earth, but GameStop still had him a day later. I don't know if they still do, but it's pretty cool. And then the last thing, I didn't have like a ton this week. This was actually something that was not pre-ordered, was not planned, but it has an explanation. It actually just came in. Here's the shipper box, so we know what it is. It just came in today. I haven't even taken it out yet, so we're looking at it for the first time. together. So from the Marvel Studios What If series, I got Captain Carter.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't opened it, so I guess we can take a peek at it together. But I've been on a bit of a Marvel kick lately because ever since I saw Captain America: Brave New World last week, and I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it.
That's good.
And so I've been on a bit of a Captain America kick lately. I rewatched all the Captain America movies. I'm simultaneously rewatching Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Agent Carter. I watched them back in the day, but I'm like rewatching them now because I'm just like, and obviously like I got like the shirt, like I'm all into it. I got the shield back there. Yeah, so she's behind a bunch of plastic, but
Yeah.
she's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Love that shield.
And it's an animated like style figure, which isn't something Hot Toys usually does. You can see her a little bit better on the back.
Oh yeah.
But it looks cool. I'd love it, and I'd prefer it if they did like a realistic version, like from Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. But I'm fine with this for now. This is cool.
Yeah.
And I'd been thinking about getting it for a long time, but what pushed me over the edge is two things. Firstly, I had when you order like through Sideshow, they give you Sideshow rewards. And I hadn't used them in over a year. I just kept accumulating them. So basically, she was free. I only had to pay $5 for the shipping.
Awesome.
And then the other thing was, I love it when websites do this, and when online sellers do this. Sideshow is one of them. For military, first responders, and teachers, they give a 15% off discount on certain in-stock items. So that was one of them. So not only did I get it for free, but I had to use less of my rewards, and I still have a bunch of rewards to spend on something else later. So yeah, that was a fun one.
Awesome.
Those are my acquisitions. Let's move over to the comments, the chat, and see what our audience is getting. Let's see. Charlie says that Charlie got one poster, Vader Assault on Tana V4 print, and got on my stoop this afternoon. Cool. Bob says, nothing new this week. Still enjoying my amazing TVC Snow Trooper. Yeah, that figure is epic.
I'm so jealous of all you that got it already. Mine hasn't come yet.
Matt says, I visited Galaxy's Edge for the first time and found the new R2BNE there. It was exciting to see Batu for the first time. I'm happy for you, Matt. I'm glad that you were able to check it out. It is a pretty cool place. And yeah, that's the first I've heard of anybody finding that figure. That's the Easter themed droid. So that's,
yeah, I actually got that. I got that for my daughter.
Yeah, I have it too. What am I saying?
Yeah, because Disney Store shipped it immediately. When it
yeah, I have it too. I don't know. I think I was confusing it with one of the other ones that they're coming out with later. Charlie, are you getting the Lego T-Rex? No. I don't go into Lego. I've dabbled with Lego in the past. I have the Cantina, of course. But I don't really, not really. Jeff says, new acquisition, TVC IG-12. Oh, you got that already?
Yeah, I've heard some people getting those.
Wow.
I think they're right to Earth.
And it's a fun figure despite lacking paint apps. Brett says, I've been getting into Bandai's Anime Heroes line. It's their budget line, but figures are pretty solid. Been getting some Naruto and Jujutsu Kaisen figures. Capitan says, Power of the Force 2 is a nightmare to stand. I think that was referring to your Tauntaun.
Oh.
And hey, Lorena, good to see you. She says, nothing new for me, debating to get the Black Series Mon Mothma as I rewatch Andor Season 1. Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice looking figure. I think I have that one. I think I got it when they went like really cheap. Yeah.
Another one we're missing in TVC, by the way.
Another one we're missing in TVC. It drives me nuts sometimes. Adam says, I finally picked up the prequels edition of Star Wars Archives, but buying a giant 16-pound book might not have been the best idea with my broken arm. Yeah, I hope you're healing up well, Adam. But yeah, that's a big book. That is a big book. Trevor says, picked up Luke and Dara and 2 HK-87s. Rick says, got in the Hot Toys Bad Batch Tech, TVC Anakin, and 501st from Ahsoka. Master of the Universe Origins, Rio Blast, and the new Superpowers Kickstarter vehicles and Figure Wave. Awesome. Those are some great acquisitions, Rick.
Yeah. I love that TVC Anakin.
Yeah.
And by the way, I did not know until I saw your post that they reused the arms on that figure. I didn't know. I didn't notice. Didn't bother me.
Yeah, they did a good job with like it. I mean, even though those arms are from 2012, they did a really good job like that. Like, it's surprising they were that good in 2012, right? Because a lot of figures even today don't have arms that are that good. Let's see. Allison says, the latest addition to my hoard is the new TVC Farm Boy Luke. The pulse order finally came in. Nice.
By the way, I forgot. So, sometimes you order from multiple sources just to see which one will come in, because sometimes some will come in, like a month ahead of other stores. I had forgotten that I'd ordered the Farm Boy Luke from like 4 different places, so I had never canceled. So I've got 4. I've got an army of Farm Boy Lukes, but it's okay. You can customize them.
I think that is all the one more. Dodgen says, for my new acquisition, I have acquired a pocket of air and flies. Wish me luck for tomorrow as I venture off to my hunting grounds. Hopefully I will find some good acquisitions for good prices. I hope so. Dodgson, you'll have to tell us about him next week. I think that is it. Brett, thank you so much for being here today and for chatting all these different topics with me, especially Star Wars, especially the deluxe figures, especially Hammerhead.
Yeah. It's okay. It's not all bad. There's some very good positive things to go with that. So.
Yes. There's always positive. Well, I don't want to say always, but yeah, there often is positive with the negative. And we'll take it. We'll take any positive we can get. But no, thank you immensely. And again, your links are to your Instagram and your YouTube are right down below. But where else can our audience here go to look you up on the internet?
I do have an X account. I'm not too active on there. I'm mostly, if you want to get in touch with me or see my stuff, YouTube and Instagram's the go-to. Just keep looking for me. I try to put out a video. Typically I put a video out every Sunday on YouTube. Sometimes I miss, sometimes life gets in the way, but mostly every Sunday I'll put out a video.
Awesome. We'll be looking forward to that. And no, thank you, Capitan. We appreciate that. And thank you guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on your Friday night. This has been a blast as always. We'll be back next week, same time. And we'll see what gets announced at Toy Fair. We'll see what there will be more to talk about next week, I'm sure, with regards to Hasbro, Star Wars, and other topics. And like I said, our Cantina contributor, Tom Charlton, will be at Toy Fair tomorrow. He will be at the Hasbro event that they're holding tomorrow evening. So we'll have boots on the ground there. We'll see what they're announcing, what they're talking about. And it'll be fun. Hopefully we see some really cool stuff. Thank you guys very, very much. Have a great weekend. Be well, be safe. May the Force be with you. If you're tuning in here for the replay, thank you for having watched the replay, which I assume will be on YouTube for perpetuity. But we're grateful. We're thankful. Spread positive vibes. Spread the love. Be kind. And no matter where you're tuning in from in the galaxy, thank you for watching Cantina Social Hour. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much.